expect that so many people would come to see her son and daughter-in-law off. She felt surprised and proud. However, despite her pride, she did not dare to let her daughter-in-law accept these things, so she helped to refuse them. This time when she came back, she had no plans to go to Yun province again. Although she had food and drink in the army, she had lived in her hometown for decades after all. She found it a little difficult to cope with being away from home for such a long time. What's more, she didn't want to be separated from her old man forever. Lin Wanshu also saw what her mother-in-law was thinking, but she didn't say it directly, for fear that her mother-in-law would misunderstand that she disliked her. Just let Qin Yan convey his meaning. Heng Heng is already 6 months old, and they can take care of him by themselves. She can go to Yun province or stay at home. Her son and daughter-in-law said so. Sun Shifeng did not force herself. Lin Wanshu said goodbye to the enthusiastic villagers and got on the tractor. But when the car started, she found a bag near the cab. And isn't this bag the one she used to carry things back to the Lin family that day? Realizing that this was a gift from Lin Jimin, Lin Wanshu smiled coldly. Without even looking at what was in it, she picked up the bag and threw it out. Lin Jimin, who was hiding behind the corner, couldn't help but tear up when he saw the bag thrown on the ground. She really will never forgive herself again. The return journey was smooth, and it was exactly noon when the family of 4 arrived at the family compound. Who got the news rushed back from the factory directly, and soon filled her yard again. Wanshu, you're finally back. I missed you so much. Yang Zheng was the one who rushed to the front. She hugged the person without any hesitation. Those who fell behind, unable to hug Lin Wanshu, rushed to hug Xiao Miao Miao and Xiao Hingheng. Hey, let me see who this little beauty is. Ji Hualan hugged Miao Miao, who was wearing a dress, and was very fond of her. Hingheng fell into Tang Qian's hands. Holding the 6-month-old chubby boy in her arms, she weighed him and said, Okay, Wanshu, your boy is really strong. I can hardly hold him anymore. Su Qiuyan had a lot of things to do at the factory, and when she rushed back, she could hardly squeeze into the yard. After finally getting a chance to squeeze in front of Lin Wanshu, she said excitedly, Wanshu, our factory just received another big order from Beijing. Heard that the pharmaceutical factory had taken on another big order, they all wailed. Wanshu, you have to think of a solution quickly. If this continues, our factory may have to work in 2 shifts to produce so many drugs. These days, the factory's performance is booming. Military wives are both miserable and happy. What makes them painful is that their workload has increased greatly, but what makes them happy is that the factory they helped build has achieved such great benefits that even the leaders praised it. How can they not be proud and proud? Fortunately, they are paid overtime for working overtime. Although the work was a bit tiring, no one complained. Everyone is so enthusiastic every day that they want to make the machines smoke. I have already written the application report. Once it is submitted, our pharmaceutical factory will be able to expand its scale. By then, we can recruit more people and your workload will be reduced. Heard that the pharmaceutical factory was finally going to expand its scale, they couldn't help but cheer. Great! Our pharmaceutical factory is going to become bigger and bigger. Isn't it? In the future, everyone will have a job. Everyone can work. What a great thing it is. Lin Wanshu's application report was quickly approved. Because of the experience from the first time, the efficiency of building the factory was higher this time. Huanju took the twins and Qiao Tingting back to Wen City to work. My mother-in-law happened to be of retirement age, so I went over to help her take care of the children. Qiao Yong can only travel between the 2 places every weekend to visit his wife and 3 children. There is no way. In his wife's heart, work comes first, children come second, and finally it is his turn. If he didn't go look for her, she might forget about him in a few months. Since the pharmaceutical factory's equipment had been produced before, the production SPED was faster this time. It only took a few months, and not only was the new factory built, but the equipment was also in place. Because many military wives failed the last exam, most of them studied hard after returning home. There are a lot of people to be recruited this time, and basically anyone who can pass the test will be recruited. There were some things that were impossible to learn no matter how hard you tried, so Lin Wanshu didn't let them go. Fortunately, the chicken farm is also going to expand in scale. Since they can't enter the pharmaceutical factory, they can enter the chicken farm, and the military wives are very happy. Of the brigades below also increased further. Basically, apart from the fields used to grow crops, the rest of the land was used to grow medicinal herbs. In just less than half a year last year, each household received an extra 200 to 300 yuan during the Chinese New Year. The members were extremely excited as they had never experienced such a prosperous year. There was no need for the team leader to mobilize them. They were all full of energy and vowed to earn more money this year. Other communes were extremely envious when they saw that they were living a good life with the army. They went to the county to ask the leaders to let their team grow herbs to supply the pharmaceutical factory. How dare the county leaders interfere in military affairs? But seeing that the life in Shanqing commune was getting better and better while other communes were still struggling, they became anxious and went to find Lin Wanshu. At that time, Lin Wanshu had already planned to open a new production line in the pharmaceutical factory, specifically for the production of skincare products. Seeing that the county leaders had come to her, she simply handed over the materials needed for skincare products to other communes for planting. When the county leaders heard this, they were overjoyed. Along were so excited that their faces turned red. Comrade Lin, don't worry. We promise to provide you with high-quality raw materials. Someone patted his chest and assured, we can do what they can do. Comrade Lin, just tell us what kind of materials you want, and our team can grow them for you. After hearing this, others were not willing to be left behind. Everyone was poor before, but seeing that other communes were living a good life, the other commune secretaries were all very anxious. Who wouldn't want to fight for the chance to live a good life? Lin Wanshu met those pairs of eager eyes and suddenly felt that the burden on her shoulders became heavier. Don't worry, secretaries. Everyone will have the opportunity to supply drugs to our pharmaceutical factory. After hearing her say this, the secretaries finally felt relieved. Then I would like to thank you on behalf of our members. With her words, they can give an explanation to the team below when they return. After receiving the confirmation, the county leaders left with several commune secretaries, all looking very happy. Because the pharmaceutical factory was doing well, her superiors gave her more power. She didn't even have to file an application for the skincare products production line. She could just ask Huanju to help her make the machines. After the production line was put into place, recruitment was directly open to the entire county. Heard that the pharmaceutical factory was still recruiting workers, they were shocked. Anyone who heard the news and had a junior high school education signed up to take the exam. Even Lu Xiaoying came, and it turned out that she also graduated from junior high school. Lin Wanshu has always admired this strong female comrade in her heart. When she learned that she was going to sign up for the exam, she almost couldn't help but want to give her some slack. In the end, seeing that she performed very well and there was no need for her to let her off, Lin Wanshu was so happy. When the test results were announced, she patted Lu Xiaoying on the shoulder and said, "Congratulations, Xiaoying." Lu Xiaoying didn't expect that she would actually have the chance to get a job. She was so excited that tears welled up in her eyes. Thank you, Wanshu. Because of her, he and his mother-in-law were finally able to support 3 children by collecting and growing herbs. Now that she has a job, her life will surely get better and better. When the women in the team heard that Lu Xiaoying had actually entered the pharmaceutical factory, they were all dumbfounded. I didn't expect she was so capable that she could pass the exam. I heard the questions were quite difficult. A total of 30 to 40 people were recruited, and there were thousands of people in the county who passed the first round of screening. How could one not admire him for being able to break through the siege among so many people? After learning that Lu Xiaoying had a job, many people became interested again. Everyone was eager to introduce someone to her. However, Lu Xiaoying remained unmoved. No matter who came, she would drive them out harshly. If the situation got serious, she would report it directly to the police station. Her decisive and resolute look scared anyone away from making advances against her. Although the drugs produced by pharmaceutical companies sell very well, skincare products are not necessities after all. When the first batch was produced, everyone was unsure. They are afraid that if the skincare products fail to sell, Their jobs will be at risk. Yang Zheng, who is now in charge of sales full-time, started visiting the market early on. But just like what others think, skincare products are not medicines and people don't have a strong need to buy them. So how easy is it to open up the market? Therefore, after running for a month, Yang Zheng gained very little. This made her, who is good at speaking, very depressed. Lin Wanshu had already anticipated this result. She wasn't disappointed. Instead, they asked the factory to produce a batch of small samples, and then, through a trial and consignment method, they stocked the skincare products in department stores in major cities. Wanshu, we've been giving them so many samples for free for more than half a month. Why haven't they received any orders yet? Yang Zheng was so anxious that her mouth was about to bubble. Lin Wanshu remained calm. Wait a little longer. Don't be anxious. Waiting for what? Yang Zheng now wanted to go to each store and ask, why don't they order such wonderful skincare products? The order should come in half a month. Tell Qiuyan not to stop the factory's production. Hearing this, Yang Zheng's heart suddenly began to race. Still producing? There are a lot of unsold skincare products piled up in the warehouse now. If we produce more, we won't have all of them left over, right?
Yes.
Reproduction. Lin Wanshu nodded and said seriously,
Well.
All right then. After hearing this, Yang Zheng could only go to find Su Qiuyan with a bitter face. Forget it, she'll go to the provincial capital later. She just couldn't believe it. How could they not buy such good skincare products? When the people in the factory heard that Lin Wanshu was going to continue producing skincare products, they couldn't help but gasp. Like Yang Zheng, they were all worried that if they failed to keep these skincare products in their hands, the pharmaceutical factory would suffer losses as well and be doomed. However, Su Qiuyan did not question Lin Wanshu's decision at all and continued to conscientiously implement the production targets she issued. Everyone had to suppress their anxiety and concentrate on producing the facial cream. They were even more cautious because they were afraid that a low pass rate would increase costs. Everyone had only one thought in mind, and that was to keep the job. Some people even buy 1 or 2 boxes at their own expense and want to recommend them to their relatives and friends. But you don't know until you wipe it, and you'll be shocked when you do. They had used before, this facial cream is not only moisturizing but also not greasy. After using it for a period of time, the skin becomes moisturized. Some people with darker skin even look a little whiter. This incredible effect drove the women in the factory who had not purchased the product crazy. After all, who doesn't want to become beautiful? The men couldn't help but secretly take a box back home for their wives. Feeling the effect of this facial cream, people in the factory suddenly gained more confidence. There's no reason why something this useful wouldn't sell well. Sure enough, less than half a month later, Yang Zheng came back running excitedly. It's done. Wen City and Lian City have each ordered 500 boxes of facial cream from us. Upon hearing this, the workers couldn't help but cheer. Very good. Finally sold. Although there are only 1,000 boxes in total, it is already a good start. Everyone believes that anyone who has used this facial cream will definitely repurchase it. After all, this effect is visible to the naked eye. For an entire afternoon, the workers were immersed in the joy of selling facial cream. As long as the products can be sold, their jobs can be saved. Wanshu, you are amazing. You said it would be sold out in half a month, and it really took half a month. How did you predict that? Yang Zheng held Lin Wanshu's hand and looked at her with sparkling eyes. Before Lin Wanshu could speak, Su Qiuyan said, I guess it's because the weather is getting colder. Vanishing cream only sells well in winter. After all, the skin will become dry and cracked when the weather is cold. Hearing her say this, Yang Zheng suddenly understood. No wonder Wanshu is so calm. It turns out it's not time for her to use facial cream yet. They have trial packs available in department stores in most cities in Yunnan province. Yang Zheng believes that anyone who has tried this facial cream would find it hard not to be tempted by it. Because the facial cream started to sell well, Yang Zheng was very motivated. In the following period of time, she and Tang Qian traveled to several cities. However, when they came back after running, they found that all the facial creams in the warehouse had been sold out. Director Su, please give us some more goods. The new year is coming soon and all our facial creams are sold out. As Yang Zheng and Tang Qian came out of Lin Wanshu's office in shock, they saw a middle-aged man following Su Qiuyan with a flattering smile. Director Hao, it's not that I don't want to help you. It's just that the facial cream is selling so well that other department stores have already placed reservations in advance, and the orders are now scheduled until after the new year. Su Qiuyan said apologetically. Heard that the orders had been scheduled until after the new year, he immediately felt very regretful. It turned out that he had not been optimistic about the facial cream produced by this pharmaceutical company before, thinking that they were giving out trial packs because they couldn't sell them. They put the facial cream in the corner of the counter and only put the best-selling vanishing cream from previous years in a conspicuous position. But since last week, people have been coming to ask them if they have the facial cream produced by Shengchun Pharmaceutical Factory. At first, Hao Aigua didn't take this matter to heart. It was not until people started buying 2, 3, or 4 boxes that he realized that this facial cream was not simple. But it was too late. In less than a week, 100 or 200 boxes of facial cream were sold out. Those who couldn't buy the products beat their chests and came to him every day to ask when the products would be available again. When Hao Aigua saw this scene, how could he sit still? I quickly asked the salesperson to call Shengchun Pharmaceutical Factory and ask them to send more face cream. Since they're selling on consignment, he doesn't have to spend any money and can just make the difference. Just when he was happily waiting for the other party to send him the facial cream, the reply he got was that the goods were sold out. Now, Hao Aigua became anxious. He quickly took a bus from Lan City and wanted to talk to the person in charge of Shengchun Pharmaceutical Factory. Who would have thought that the reply I got was that the orders had been scheduled until next year? When Hao Aigua thought about how they were going to miss out on such huge profits, he felt like a piece of flesh had been cut off. Director Su, I know you must have other ways. Just give us 500.
No.
Even 100 boxes will do. Please, just do me a favor. The Chinese New Year is coming soon. Other cities have Shengchun Pharmaceutical Factory's facial cream, but their department store doesn't have it. The loss is not only profit, but also possible customer loss. After all, some time ago, many people came for this cream, and in the end they also took away a lot of other things. If they don't have this facial cream, they might just buy it somewhere else. When he thought of that scene, Hao Aigua became anxious and angry. Hearing this, Su Qiuyan looked a little embarrassed. Director Hao, I understand your feelings, but other department stores have placed orders first, so we can't break the rules. Let me ask Director Lin to see if we can get you 50 boxes from somewhere else. Hearing this, Hao Aigua was overjoyed. He didn't think 50 boxes were too few and thanked him profusely, saying, Okay, then I'll leave this matter to Director Su. I'll pay you first, and you must give me 50 boxes. As if afraid that she would go back on her word, Hao Aigua took out a stack of big Unity bills from his briefcase on the spot. At this time, how could he dare to think about whether to consign it or not? It's good enough if you can buy the goods with money. Looking at Hao Aigua's grateful expression, Yang Zheng began to doubt her life. She was deeply impressed by Director Hao of Lanshi Department Store. When she approached him to say she wanted to sell on consignment and send him a trial pack, he was so arrogant. The only problem is that you are looking down on people with your nose. Who could have thought that in just less than 2 months, the situation would have reversed so drastically? Their facial cream went from being in high demand to being in short supply. Lin Wanshu was expecting the facial cream to be so popular. Before the Chinese New Year, new production equipment was installed in the factory. Also brought into the pharmaceutical factory were 2 drug production lines. It turned out that their medicine, after more than a year of production, was also in short supply in the army. Many troops that were farther away from them were anxiously waiting for their medicine. Even the rheumatism medicine she developed at the beginning of the year is now sold out in seconds. The production SPE-PED is seriously lagging behind the sales SPE-PED. Just 1 year, the size of the pharmaceutical factory doubled. Were not enough people at the beginning, so Lin Wanshu selected some of the top performers from those who had taken the exam before and gave them training. The military wives are all experienced veterans, and those with outstanding performance are directly promoted to team leaders, responsible for training and managing newcomers. The awareness, enthusiasm, and discipline of military wives are unmatched by ordinary people, leaving the newcomers to them. In addition to managing the factory on weekdays, she occasionally has to treat people with difficult and complicated diseases. Many of these patients were recommended by Won City Military Hospital. Wanshu rarely treated patients for other minor illnesses, except for those who were military wives and children in the family compound. There are too many things to do, and she is busy every day. However, she basically completes her work during working hours, and when she returns home, she spends her whole life accompanying her man and baby. Hung Hung is now almost 1 year and 3 months old, and he walks steadily. Most factories these days have nurseries. The vast majority of workers in the pharmaceutical factory are women. Lin Wanshu also set up a nursery in the factory and hired several efficient and caring aunts to take care of the children. Children under the age of 2 can be sent to nurseries, and after they are 2 years old, they can be sent to the kindergarten in the family compound. Little Hung Hung has been in the nursery for the past year. He sees his mother every day and doesn't make trouble. Little Meow Meow has officially entered kindergarten. The children in the kindergarten are all from the staff housing compound. She knows them all and can play with them all. Perhaps because she has a baby at home that she doesn't have to worry about, Lin Wanshu doesn't feel overwhelmed even though she has so many things to do every day. But there was one thing that Lin Wanshu found a little strange. Obviously, Qin Yan had occasionally taken no precautions over the past year, but she never got pregnant with another child. At first, she didn't think much about it and just thought it was because she didn't encounter her ovulation period. But one time it happened to be her ovulation period, and the two of them didn't take any precautions, and she still didn't get pregnant. Then Lin Wanshu vaguely realized that something was wrong. Although pregnancy is not guaranteed during ovulation, she somehow feels that things are not that simple. He was so opposed to having children and had always taken strict safety measures. The only time he got pregnant with Hung Hung was because she teased him too much and he lost control. But why, in the past year, he no longer takes measures as strictly as before? Lin Wanshu would not dwell on the issue and think that her man's feelings for her had deteriorated. After all, the way he looked at her sometimes made her blush and her heart beat fast. The only possibility. In order to verify her idea, Lin Wanshu planned to take Qin Yan's pulse to see what was going on. But he refused to cooperate and just said that he was in good health and not feeling unwell anywhere. He refused to let her feel his pulse, and Lin Wanshu had no way to deal with him. Because as long as she touched his wrist, even if he was asleep, he would wake up in an instant. The more the man acted like this, the more Lin Wanshu felt that he must be hiding something from her. It was another night. After Lin Wanshu coaxed her 2 babies to sleep, she entered the space early. The figure in the mirror, wearing such a hot outfit, even made her blush and dare not look at it for any longer. I blocked Chi-Chi's perception in advance and turned off the main lights in the room, leaving only the light strips emitting soft light. Not long after, there was a strange movement in the space. Realizing that her man had come in, Lin Wanshu's face continued to heat up. For a moment, she even had the urge to run away. But it's too late. The next second, the man appeared in the space. Qin Yan had just finished taking a shower and returned to the room. Not seeing his wife, he habitually went into the space to look for her. But who would have thought that as soon as I entered, I would see such a blood-boiling scene? Under the dim light, the woman's jade-like skin was faintly visible under a dress that looked as if she was wearing nothing. Although her clothes were extremely daring, her little face looked extremely shy. The ultimate temptation of purity and loveliness. Just one glance, and he felt his nose itchy. Young married woman. The man seemed to be frozen in time, his eyes just staring at people. Hearing the very low and hoarse voice, Lin Wanshu's face turned even redder. But in order to confirm her idea, she suppressed her shyness and walked in front of him gracefully. Soon, the man was aroused and lost control again. At the critical moment, Lin Wanshu felt his pulse. Qin Yan's heart skipped a beat, and when he was about to avoid her, he suddenly remembered that she had just held his hand. Wan, don't. Qin Yan's breath was still disheveled, and his hair was soaked with sweat. His voice was tense, trying to stop people. But the next second, it was blocked by the woman's sweet and soft red lips. Lin Wanshu took advantage of his confusion and quickly checked his veins. She found the 2 broken tubes. She was stunned on the spot. It is true.
Ian, you.
Up at the man in front of her with a dazed look on his face, her expression was very complicated. There is emotion, heartache, and worry. She didn't expect he would go this far for her. After all, such operations in this era still have considerable risks. If he doesn't handle it properly, his body may suffer serious sequelae. What's more, he has to undergo such high-intensity training in the army. Qin Yan looked at the woman with red eyes and a look of heartache. How could he bear it? Exerted force with his hands, broke free from the strong cloth belt that was holding him, and hugged the person in his arms. Wan, don't cry. I'm fine, right? But Lin Wanshu still felt very distressed. Holding his face in her hands, she asked with red eyes, "Does it hurt? Are you feeling uncomfortable anywhere? If you feel uncomfortable, you must tell me, and I will treat you." Being cared for and loved by her wholeheartedly, Qin Yan's heart seemed to be filled with something. He had no way to vent the excitement in his body, and he couldn't help but kiss those tempting red lips. "I do feel a little uncomfortable. I need you to treat me, Dr. Lin." Hearing this, Lin Wanshu suddenly became nervous. "Where do you feel uncomfortable?" As she spoke, she wanted to come down to examine him. But the next second, he was hugged into that hot embrace again. Here, the man's actions and voice carried ambiguous hints. Lin Wanshu's face immediately started burning. "You rascal!" She reached out and punched him on the chest. But the only response she got was the man's muffled chuckle. "Yes, I am a gangster, but I don't know who just cunned me." Before he could finish his words, someone blocked his lips in embarrassment the next second. He still has the nerve to say that? If he hadn't refused to cooperate, would she have resorted to such tactics? Ever since she found out that her man had secretly performed an operation while she was unconscious, Lin Wanshu has been extremely nervous about him. Fearing that there might be any sequelae, she would prepare some medicinal food for him to nourish his body from time to time. Qin Yan didn't feel uncomfortable anywhere. After all, after the operation, he drank spiritual spring water, and his body recovered very well. But how could he bear to refuse his wife's concern? Qin Yan drank all the medicinal food she cooked without hesitation. I don't know what ingredients these medicines are made of, but after taking them, Qin Yan's already strong physique became even stronger. From morning to night, I am full of energy. During the day, as he released all the excess energy through training. But at night, Lin Wanshu suffered. Ever since the 2 of them had their talk, no one knew where the safety measures had been thrown away. I don't know if it was for this reason, but the man seemed particularly excited. Lin Wanshu felt that if he continued to act like this, she would not be able to work during the day. Stop his medicinal diet. Who had been stopped from taking medicinal food, still felt very regretful. "Wife, I think I can still make up for it." A man who has always been serious and solemn is now trying to fight for his own benefits at the risk of his face. But the woman rejected it mercilessly. She doesn't want to be torn apart at such a young age. Seeing that she really didn't intend to cook medicinal food for him anymore, Qin Yan had no choice but to give up. However, the medicinal diet was stopped, but some of the stubbornness seemed to be engraved in his bones. Lin Wanshu, who thought she could finally take a break, suddenly felt like crying but had no tears. Did she shoot herself in the foot? It is October 1977. When the announcement of the resumption of the college entrance examination echoed across the vast land, the whole country was excited. People spread the word everywhere.
Ah.
The college entrance examination has been resumed.
Ha ha ha.
I can finally take the college entrance examination. Does the resumption of the college entrance examination mean that everything will return to normal? No one knows what the future will be like, but at this moment, everyone is cheering for this major reform. It was noisy outside, but the family compound was relatively quiet. After all the military wives are basically workers now, and whether the college entrance examination is resumed or not has little to do with them. Instead of spending this time, it would be better to produce more medicine and facial cream. After all, if the factory's performance is good, they can get more benefits. Not to mention anything else, in the more than 2 years since they entered the factory, their pockets have become fatter and their backs have become straighter. Now, not only do the men in the family not dare to raise their voices to them, but even the people from their husband's family have become much more polite to them. The so-called economic base determines the superstructure. If you have the ability to make money, others will look up to you. On the contrary, those who can only rely on others to survive will inevitably have to depend on others for their favor. Everyone was extremely grateful to Lin Wanshu for helping them stand up straight. During holidays, her house is always crowded with people. Today, He Wenju also returned to the staff quarters, which was rare. Also returning with them were the twins, a boy and a girl, and Xiao Tingting. As usual, everyone gathered in Lin Wanshu's yard to chat. In addition to talking about factory matters, they also talked about the current hot topic of resuming the college entrance examination. As they were talking, He Wenju dropped a bomb's heck. I have quit my job at the machinery factory and am preparing to take the college entrance examination. Hearing this, the military wives were all shocked. Wenju, are you serious? You're going to give up a good job, just like that? Tang Qian said with a look of shock and pain. You should know that He Wenju is now a senior engineer in a machinery factory, and his salary is about 80 or 90 yuan a month. As what their pharmaceutical factory produces. Yang Zhen couldn't understand it either. How difficult is the college entrance examination? After all, I haven't studied for such a long time. And even if I pass, won't I still have to work in a factory after graduation? What's the point of going around in circles like this? Others had similar thoughts. After all, the purpose of getting into college is just to get a good job. Her current job and what she would have if she graduated from a higher university? Probably the only person present who understood He Wenju was Lin Wanshu. Perhaps Wenju has higher ideals and aspirations. Although being a senior engineer in a machinery factory is good, her upper limit is not high. If she has the opportunity to enter a broader stage, her talents will definitely be better displayed. During that conversation, Lin Wanshu was extremely clear about her inner ambitions. After all, this is a warrior who sacrificed his life for the new China. How could she be willing to work in a small machinery factory? He Wenju is a very opinionated and determined person, just because other military wives don't understand. But when she heard Lin Wanshu's words at this moment, she couldn't help but feel a surge of joy in her heart that her ideals were understood. He is worthy of being her best friend. Yes, I want to further my studies and do more for our country. Staying in the machinery factory, the role she can play is really too small. She longed for more opportunities to build the homeland that her companions had fought so hard to save. He Wenju said that she wanted to do her best for the country. Her eyes flashed with dazzling light, and everyone present was stunned. In this simple era, patriotism is a spirit that is respected and admired by everyone. Who doesn't want to contribute to the country as long as there is an opportunity? Therefore, not only did no one laugh at He Wenju's words, but everyone was deeply moved by her. Wenju, since you have made up your mind, then go ahead. We all support you. That's right. I don't have your ability, but I admire your noble spirit. Wow, Wenju, I want to learn from you too. A moment, all the voices of misunderstanding turned into warm praise. When she felt the same simple patriotic sentiments as her former companions. It turns out that she has never been alone on this road. The news of the resumption of the college entrance examination was announced. Everyone went from ecstasy to tension and panic. It turns out that the exam is just 1 month later. With such limited time, it is difficult to even find some information, let alone review. The college entrance examination has been suspended for 10 years, and they have long forgotten most of the knowledge they once learned. Even the books were sold to the scrapyard. A time, the whole country was filled with candidates anxiously looking for books. He Wenju originally planned to go to the county to look for some information, but she didn't expect Lin Wanshu to send her a complete set. Before, Qiuyan wanted to study, so when I went to help her find information, I took a set of books and put them at home. Now, I give all these books to you. In fact, Lin Wanshu had already received various information. Lin Wanshu had taken the adult college entrance examination in her previous life. She did not give up studying. Since her rebirth, in addition to reading medical books, she also reviewed these texts on a daily basis. It can be said that she has already mastered most of the knowledge points that need to be learned. She no longer needed the information, so she gave it to Hyunju. Afraid that the knowledge she learned in her previous life might not be able to keep up with the current content, Lin Wanshu was thinking about whether to give her some tutoring. But she just flipped through the book casually, and when she took out the exercises to do, she wrote like a god, as if no question could stump her. Not only that, she also explained to her some of the content that she had not fully understood. Lin Wanshu. Is this the legendary academic genius? It is true that comparing people will make you die, and comparing goods will make you throw them away. However, Lin Wanshu had a good attitude and did not feel unhappy just because others were better than her. He even shamelessly pestered Hyunju and continued to explain to her the remaining knowledge that she had not yet fully understood. The two of them studied together for a month. The time for the college entrance examination finally arrived. I don't know if the questions are too simple or if Lin Wanshu's knowledge is solid enough. After taking exams for 2 consecutive days, she felt relaxed and even finished all the papers early. Qin Yan naturally fully supported Lin Wanshu's decision to continue her studies. He and Lin Wanshu share the same idea that learning never ends. No matter how good the space is, it is an external thing. Only what you have learned in your mind will belong to you forever. I came out of the exam, it had just rained, and it was very cold. Lin Wanshu gathered her scarf and walked out of the examination room. As soon as she walked out of the door, she saw 2 small figures running toward her. Mother! Mother! Xiao Miao Miao, who was already over 4 years old, ran like a gust of wind. She rushed in front of her and hugged her thighs. Just turned 2 years old, was not to be outdone. He moved his 2 short legs very quickly, following closely behind his sister and running in front of her. He raised his little head high and looked at her with a pair of bright eyes. Looking at the 2 little babies, one tall and one short, Lin Wanshu's heart was melted by their cuteness. He squatted down, picked them up one by one, kissed them left and right, and then asked, "Are you cold?" "It's not cold. I'm wearing lots of clothes." Xiao Miao Miao quickly shook her head, fearing that her mother would dress her up to look plump again. Now that she's a little older, she's very opinionated and would rather be a little cooler than wear so many clothes. "I have too many clothes on, and I can't move. It's so uncomfortable." Little Hung Hung didn't know what his mother was talking about, but when he saw his sister shaking her head, he shook his head too. After a while, Qin Yan also came up. With them were Chiu Yong and his twin boy and girl. "Comrade Xiaolin, have you seen my wife? Why hasn't she come out yet?" Chiu Yong spoke. He couldn't help but stick his head out to look behind the door. The twins are only 7 or 8 days younger than Hung Hung and are already 2 years old. At this moment, one of them is sitting on his father's arm. The 2 of them were wearing the same clothes and hats, and at first glance they looked exactly the same, but upon closer inspection, one was lively and active, while the other was gentle and quiet. The more lively one is the younger sister An, and the quieter one is the older brother Ping Ping. I heard that the 2 nicknames were given by Chiu Yong. It is conceivable how much psychological trauma Lin Wanshu's childbirth had caused him. Lin Wanshu's hands had been taken over by Qin Yan. The man not only took the baby away, but also stuffed a hot water bottle into her hands. Lin Wanshu held the hot water bottle in both hands, feeling extremely comfortable. After a pause, she replied, "Wenju and I are not on the same floor. I am on the 1st floor, and she is on the 4th floor. I think she will come down soon." Even she finished such a simple question so quickly, not to mention someone like Hyunju, who has an IQ off the charts. Hearing this, Chiu Yong could only suppress his anxiety and continue waiting. But little Anan became a little impatient and struggled to come down and play with Hung Hung. There was no other choice but for Chiu Yong to put them all down. The little guys got off the ground. They gathered together again, mumbling something, but no one knew what they were saying. It was mainly Anan and Miao Miao who were talking. Hung Hung doesn't talk much to begin with, and Ping Ping talks even less. Although Hung Hung is a man of few words, He would occasionally interject an unclear remark or two. Pingping hardly spoke a word from beginning to end, as if she thought their topic was too boring. Lin Wanshu looked at the babies and found them extremely amusing. Not long after, He Wenju also came out. When he saw his wife, how could Xiao Yong forget about his 2 children? He hurried to greet her. "Wife, how are you? Are you cold? Here, take the hot water bottle and warm your hands first." Xiao Yong himself didn't feel that cold, so naturally he didn't think of preparing something like a hot water bottle. He saw Qin Yan install one, so he followed suit and installed one for He Wenju. Anyway, whatever other people's wives have, his family should have it too. He Wenju took the hot water bottle, covered her hands, and said, "It's okay." Hearing that her tones seemed to be unsatisfied, Xiao Yong's heart suddenly tightened. Guessing that his wife might not have done well in the exam, and fearing that she might feel bad, he quickly comforted her. "It's okay. If it's really not okay, we can take the exam again next year. You are so smart, you will definitely be able to get into university." Listening to his stammering words of comfort, He Wenju finally realized that he had misunderstood her words. However, since the results had not come out yet, she couldn't say anything proud and complacent, so in the end she didn't explain anything further. Just nodded. "Yeah, I understand." After that, she walked to Lin Wanshu again and asked with concern, "Wanshu, how about you? How did you do in the exam?" Lin Wanshu curved her eyebrows and looked at her with a smile. "It should be okay." Hearing her say this, He Wenju felt relieved. In the following days, Xiao Yong tried different ways to coax his wife every day, for fear that she would be unhappy. He Wenju originally wanted to explain that her test scores were not as bad as he thought, but in the end, for some reason, she did not say it. She just looked at the man with gentle eyes as he tried to clumsily make her happy. She has always been aloof, but during this period of time, she has been unusually enthusiastic and clingy. So happy that he felt like he was floating. The corners of his mouth were raised so high that he couldn't suppress it. Time flies, and it is the end of the year. Admission letters from all over the country have come in one after another. That day, when Xiao Yong got home from get-off work, he saw that his yard was full of people. As soon as he walked into the door, he heard someone speaking to him excitedly. "Captain Xiao, congratulations. Your wife was admitted to Shuemu University." As soon as these words came out, Xiao Yong was stunned on the spot, his eyes widened.
What?
"What did you say? What is Mizuki University? His wife do poorly in the exam?" Xiao Yong wondered if there was something wrong with his ears. "I heard that Wenju was admitted to Shuemu University. She's in the Department of Aeronautics and Astronautics. I heard that she's going to build rockets." Yang Zheng's voice changed in tone with excitement, as if the person who was admitted to Shuemu University was not He Wenju, but herself. "That's making a rocket. No wonder she looked down on the position of senior engineer in the machinery factory." Clang, the thing in Xiao Yong's hand fell directly to the ground. The news that He Wenju was admitted to Shuemu University immediately made Xiao Yong's mind go blank. I didn't react for a long time. His wife was admitted to Shuemu University. Will she build rockets in the future? After finally digesting the sentence, Xiao Yong laughed out loud like crazy, looking up to the sky. Then, he ran to He Wenju with an excited look on his face, picked her up and started spinning around.
Wife.
"You are so amazing. Are you going to build rockets in the future? Isn't this incredible?" Wang Guifin was so excited that she covered her chest. "Shuemu University. Their ancestral graves are really good."
No.
She had to call back and tell the old man this great news. The news that He Wenju was admitted to Shuemu University not only caused a sensation in the entire staff housing compound, but also in the entire army. You have to know that when the college entrance examination was just resumed, only a few people could actually get into university. Not to mention that they were admitted to the country's top universities. What kind of terrifying power is this? But while everyone was happy for He Wenju, they couldn't help but worry about Lin Wanshu. The new year is coming soon. Why hasn't she received the notification letter yet? 3 years of living together, not to mention the great help Lin Wanshu gave them, just talking about the relationship between them, The military wives all hoped that she could be admitted to university. Passed by little, and the Chinese New Year was just a few days away. Other people's notices had come one after another, but Lin Wanshu's had not yet been seen. The military wives no longer had much hope that she would be able to get into college. Afraid that Lin Wanshu was in a bad mood, they all took turns to come over and talk to her. Compared to the anxious military wives, Lin Wanshu was the calmest one. I just follow the steps to prepare the rice cakes for the new year. Wanshu, it doesn't matter if you don't pass the exam. You are already the director of Shengchun Pharmaceutical Factory. It doesn't matter whether you go to university or not. After all, he is the factory director. Even if you graduate from university, you may not be able to become a director, but he is directly a factory manager. Tang Qian understood Hu Wenju's desire to go to college, but she didn't quite understand why Lin Wanshu, who already had this position, still had to take the college entrance examination. Be good to be a factory manager? Others also came to comfort her. That's right, Wanshu, maybe those college students will work under you after they graduate? Listening to the comforting words of the military wives, Lin Wanshu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. But more importantly, I feel warm in my heart. Don't worry, I'm fine. Just like you said, I'm still the factory manager no matter what. Seeing that she was indeed not unhappy, the military wives finally felt relieved. Everyone started to help her make rice cakes. At this moment, there was a commotion outside the door. Amid the noise, Ji Hualan's excited voice was heard. Wanshu's notice has come. Hearing this, the military wives who were still holding dough in their hands suddenly became nervous. Without even putting down the dough, they rushed out excitedly one by one. Where is it? Where is Wanshu's notice? Where did you get admitted? Did it say on the website? The military wives asked in unison. Ji Hualan had run all the way here, and before she could catch her breath, she raised the letter in her hand and said, It's Beijing University. When they heard that it was Peking University, the military wives were stunned at first, and then they were excited. Kyoto University? You mean Kyoto University? Did I hear correctly? Wanshu was admitted to Beijing University. 2 college students from top universities suddenly emerged from their staff housing compound. It's absolutely true. It says on the envelope that it's from Beijing University. Where's Wanshu? Let her open the letter and take a look. Wanshu is here. As Su Qiuyan and the others were talking, they came out surrounded by Lin Wanshu. Although she was mentally prepared, Lin Wanshu was also very excited when she heard that she had been admitted to the school of her choice. She took the letter, opened it, and found that it was indeed an admission letter from Kyoto University. Everyone saw the words, Kyoto University, on the notice. They couldn't help but cheer. I passed the exam. I passed the exam. Congratulations, Wanshu. That's Beijing University. Who wouldn't be the best if they could get into such an institution? Another person in the family compound was admitted to a top university quickly spread throughout the entire army. Everyone was shocked by the news. For people to get into university, 2 people came out of their military family compound at once. And they were both in the best schools in the country, especially the deputy head's wife. How can they be so awesome? She can cure any disease with ease, and no matter how serious the situation is, it seems to be no problem for her. After opening a factory, not only were the medicines produced in short supply, but even the facial creams produced became a popular item that everyone was seeking after. Now he has been admitted to Kyoto University. Those who were already envious of Qin Yan now wanted even more to ask him in person how he found a wife. How can someone be so excellent? Not long after the Chinese New Year, before the New Year's Eve, Lin Wanshu and Hu Wenju were about to set off for Beijing to go to school. Hu Wenju was admitted to the Department of Aeronautics and Astronautics. She was busy with her studies and did not bring the twins to school. He was left in the family compound and taken care of by my mother-in-law. Lin Wanshu planned to keep both babies with her. She applied to the Department of Pharmacy, majoring in pharmaceutical manufacturing. When the notice came, she had already called Sun Haidao and told him about it. Sun Haidao asked her to bring the baby over, as the house he had given her before was near Peking University. The child if she brings him to Beijing. Hearing what he said, Lin Wanshu did not hesitate and took the baby over directly. After all, Qin Yan often has to go out on missions and can't take care of the children. The two babies are now old enough to go to kindergarten. She just sends them to school during the day and picks them up in the afternoon. As for the factory, Su Chuyen, as a manager, is already able to handle things on her own. Coupled with Lin Wanshu's continuous optimization over the past year, the entire pharmaceutical factory can now maintain efficient operations even without her presence. Encounters problems that cannot be solved, she can just call her again. Necessary, she can also fly back from Beijing. After everything was arranged, Qin Yan escorted Lin Wanshu, He Wenju, and his two babies to Beijing. Qiu Yong also wanted to go, but he couldn't leave, so he could only ask Qin Yan to help him take care of his wife. Of departure, Qiu Yong's eyes were slightly red. No one was paying attention. He pulled He Wenju to a corner and asked worriedly, "Wife, when will you come back to see me? When you come back, you will still be my wife, right?" Although she had been very good to him during this period, Qiu Yong always felt uneasy in his heart. His wife is too independent and strong, so strong that sometimes he feels like he is redundant and can be abandoned at any time. Seeing the uneasiness and uncertainty in his eyes, He Wenju couldn't help but reflect on herself. Wasn't the sense of security she gave him enough? Finally, I couldn't help but soften my heart. She reached out and hugged him and said, "As long as you don't change, I will be your wife for the rest of my life." Hearing this, Qiu Yong felt reassured. "You said it. I've decided you're the only one for me in this life." He Wenju smiled. Knowing that this place was private and no one could see them, she looked around and then quickly kissed him on the lips. This time, Qiu Yong's mouth was stretched all the way to his ears. His wife kissed him. She really has him in her heart. Otherwise, how could such a reserved person make such a bold move? The group took the train and slowly arrived in Beijing. After 3 years, Lin Wanshu was more excited when she set foot on this land again. "I don't know how my Uncle Master is doing now." In one hand, she followed Qin Yan all the way to the entrance of the train station. He Wenju didn't have much luggage, just a large bag for clothes, a small bag, and a backpack. Qiu Yong was afraid that she was tired, so he stuffed a passbook and a bundle of bills into her pocket and told her to come over to buy whatever she needed. Lin Wanshu also didn't bring much luggage, just 2 or 3 bags in total, and Qin Yan carried them all. I don't know if it's because school has started, but the train station is still crowded with people everywhere. Lin Wanshu walked with the two babies very carefully, fearing that someone would bump into them. After finally squeezing to the door, suddenly, a familiar voice came from outside the guardrail. "Wan Wan." Hearing this voice, Lin Wanshu looked up in disbelief. Sure enough, at the guardrail, the person who was squeezed in the front and waving at her frantically was none other than Yu Fangfang. Fangfang. Unexpectedly, she was in Beijing and came to pick her up. Lin Wanshu was shocked and unbelievable. After finally squeezing out of the door, she was suddenly grabbed by Yu Fangfang.
Wow.
"Wanshu, I finally see you. I missed you so much." Yu Fangfang spoke while crying and laughing. Her voice was excited and filled with a strong sense of longing for someone she hadn't seen for a long time. Lin Wanshu's eyes couldn't help but turn red. "Silly girl. Didn't you say you wouldn't be coming back to Beijing for the new year? I thought I wouldn't be able to see you again." Her vision had become blurry as she held tightly to her long-lost friend. "Hey, I heard that you were admitted to Beijing University, so I rushed back. How about it? Are you surprised to see me?"
It's more than a surprise.
"Can't you see I'm crying with joy?" When Qin Yan hugged his wife, he also picked up his two babies. At this moment, he was standing aside, looking at the two crying and laughing women with a helpless look on his face. He Wenju was also very happy to see Yu Fangfang. After the two had hugged each other enough, she went up to her and gave her a hug. "Fangfang, long time no see." Yu Fangfang also hugged her happily and said in an admiring voice, "Wenju, I heard that you were admitted to Shuemu University. Congratulations." She actually has two such awesome friends. Now, she can walk around the compound with ease. He Wenju couldn't help laughing when she saw that she was still so lively. Thank you. I heard that you have made great progress in the laying hen industry of our army and have been commended. Congratulations to you too. Now the entire Northwest military region has achieved freedom of eggs and chickens. This is inseparable from Fong Fong's efforts. After all, before she left, she seriously learned chicken-raising techniques from Lin Wanshu for a period of time. When she thought about how a young lady from such a good family could achieve egg and chicken freedom for the army and raise chickens without fear of the hard work or dirt. Hearing this, Yu Fong smiled awkwardly. I dare not take credit for it. All of this is inseparable from your contributions and the help of the wives of the Northwest Army. She followed Lin Wanshu's example and united all the forces that could be united. Led the military wives to start a chicken farm. Now everyone is united and thinking every day about how to make the chicken farm bigger and better. They have no time to quarrel. When she thought that she could also make everyone in the family compound friendly and loving. Lin Wanshu was also very pleased to see that Yu Fong had become more calm. But there are too many people here. It's not a good place to talk. A few people squeezed out of the crowd and walked outside the station. As soon as I got out of the station, I heard a voice that was so excited that it was almost out of tune. Sister Xiao. Lin Wanshu looked in the direction of the voice. Who else could that figure running towards them be but Feng Jianxi? It turned out that there were too many people at the station. Yu Fong didn't let her son squeeze with her, but forced him to stay and asked Xiao Chen, who came to pick up people, to help her watch over people. Feng Jianxi waited so hard for Miao Miao to come out. How could he bear it any longer? Ran towards Xiao Miao, grabbing her little hand. He couldn't wait to ask, Sister, do you still remember me? I am Brother Jianxi. Brother Jianxi? Xiao Miao tilted her head, with some confusion in her eyes. Seeing this, Feng Jianxi was immediately upset. His sister really had forgotten about him. Lin Wanshu couldn't bear to see Feng Jianxi's sad face, so she said to Miao, Brother Jianxi used to live next to our house. He came to play with you every day and made grilled fish for you. Do you remember? After hearing this, some vague images flashed through Miao's mind. Although she was not sure, she still nodded obediently and shouted seriously, Brother Jianxi. Seeing that she seemed to remember him a little, Feng Jianxi's mouth stretched all the way to his ears. Then he handed a bag to Miao. This is a gift for my brother. It contains delicious food and fun things. Miao didn't answer it, but looked up at her mother for help. Lin Wanshu touched her head and said, Brother Jianxi gave it to you, so just accept it. There's no need to be so polite with their relationship. I can just give him something else later. Hearing this, Miao took the bag from Feng Jianxi and smiled sweetly. Thank you, brother. Feng Jianxi was even happier and took her hand and walked towards a car. Come on, let's get in the car. Hung saw his sister being dragged away. He immediately became anxious and grabbed her other hand. He said fiercely, Yes, untie the knot. Although Hung is small, he is very strong. With this pull, even Feng Jianxi was stopped. He stopped and noticed the little guy. Miao, this is your brother? Hearing this, Xiao Miao's face was full of pride. She pulled her brother to her side and said to Feng Jianxi happily, Yes, he is my brother. He is so awesome. Feng Jianxi is a man who loves Miao and her family. Seeing that Miao likes her younger brother so much, he considerately took out a handful of candies from his trouser pocket. Come, brother will treat you to some candy. Logically speaking, children should not be able to refuse milk candy, but Hung is obviously an exception. When he saw the toffee, instead of showing any joy, he looked at Feng Jianxi with a wary look on his face.
Whiz.
While saying the words of refusal, he held Miao's hands tighter, as if he was a bad guy who would abduct his sister. When Feng Jianxi saw that he didn't buy it, he was stunned. Yu Fong looked at Xiao Hung with surprise. Wanshu, your son, is amazing. He can resist the temptation of sugar-coated bullets at such a young age. Lin Wanshu. Could she say that this kid didn't like sweets at all, but instead liked meat and spicy food? She didn't dare feed him these things because she was afraid his stomach couldn't take it. But since other kids had it, he could still secretly eat a little. Lin Wanshu originally planned to report to the school first, and then go to the military compound to visit Sun Haidao and Yu Jingnan. But now Yu Fangfang came to pick someone up, so she had to change her schedule and go to the compound first. Even He Wenju was dragged into the compound by Yu Fangfang. In the compound, Sun Haidao and Yu Jingnan were waiting early. Especially Sun Haidao, who would stand up and go to the door every 1 or 2 minutes. Yu Jingnan was almost dizzy. "Old Sun, why don't you just sit down and wait? With Fangfang going to pick him up, how can Xiaolin still run away?" But how could Sun Haidao sit still? After all, he hadn't seen his great niece for 3 years. Not to mention, you know nothing. If your grandchildren were admitted to Beijing University, I don't believe you would be able to sit still. Yu Jingnan. Hey, you old man, just talk. Why are you talking about my grandchildren? Can we still have fun together? Sun Hai said. You are the old guy, you are 2 years older than me. I can still climb the roof, can you? Why can't I do that? When we were fighting, Guard Xiaoyang watched the two of them start their usual bickering, and the corners of his mouth twitched uncontrollably. At this moment, a car horn sounded outside. When he heard the noise, how could Sun Haidao care about arguing? He just turned around and walked out briskly. This, Yu Jingnan also became anxious and stood up suddenly. He shouted, "Hey, wait for me. Be careful, Chief." When Xiaoyang saw this, he quickly stepped forward to support the person. But Yu Jingnan waved him away. "I don't need your help. I can walk by myself." Outside the door, Lin Wanshu just got off the car and saw a figure coming towards her like the wind. Seeing his familiar face, Lin Wanshu shouted happily and excitedly, "Uncle." Sun Haidao smiled brightly, and the wrinkles on his face smoothed out. "Haha, girl, you're finally here." As soon as he finished speaking, Xiao Hengheng also got out of the car. The first time he saw him, Sun Haidao was stunned. After a moment he asked, "Girl, is this your little son?" Lin Wanshu didn't understand why he reacted like this, but she nodded anyway. "Yes, uncle, he is Hengheng." Hearing this, Sun Haidao looked at the little guy's face again, paused, and then said, "Not bad, not bad. This kid will be lucky in the future." Lin Wanshu had heard such words many times and didn't take them to heart. She just thought that the old man said that because he liked Hengheng. Just teach Hengheng to call him Grandpa. Although Hengheng is 2 years old, he started speaking a little later than Miao Miao. Lin Wanshu thought that he would not be able to pronounce such a word clearly, but unexpectedly, the little guy called out, "Grandpa," clearly. After hearing this, Sun Haidao was immediately overjoyed. So he picked up the little guy. Xiao Miao Miao also got out of the car and came to her mother. When Sun Haidao saw Miao Miao, he couldn't stop smiling. After a while, Yu Jingnan also came out. After another round of warm greetings, the group went into the house. Lin Wanshu had been to the military compound once and was quite familiar with it. It was He Wenju's first time here, but she was not at all restrained and her words and actions were graceful and elegant. Lin Wanshu had just introduced the young comrade to the two elderly people. When they heard that this young comrade was from the Department of Aeronautics and Astronautics of Shuemu University, they were extremely enthusiastic. Qin Yan was already deeply admired by Yu Jingnan, and as soon as they met, he kept talking to him. Several people spent the night in the military compound and reported to school the next day. Before leaving, Yu Chuanbai, who heard the news, came over and chatted with Qin Yan for a few words. No one knew what they said, but everyone could see how much Yu Chuanbai valued this young deputy captain. When they set out for school, Sun Haidao and Yu Fangfang, mother and son, also followed. I have already had the house cleaned up. All the furniture is new, except for the bedding and pots and pans. Sun Haidao introduced Lin Wanshu. Lin Wanshu was naturally very grateful for this. Luckily, my uncle is here, otherwise we wouldn't know who to turn to if we had any problems. Although she could actually handle most of the problems on her own, Lin Wanshu still expressed her dependence on this uncle master. Hearing her say this, Sun Haidao was in a good mood. We are all family. If I don't take care of you, who will I take care of? They first went to see the house, put their luggage there, and then went to report to school. The house is a 2-story building with a fairly large yard. The house is not small, and each floor is probably over 100 square meters. There are 2 rooms, a living room and a kitchen on the first floor, and 4 rooms and a balcony on the second floor, but no living room. The toilet is in the corner of the outside yard. There is no shower room, so people usually go to the bathhouse to take a shower. The inside of the house seemed to have been repainted and looked clean and bright. I don't care. You have to arrange a room for me, and I will live with you during this period of time. After Yu Fongfong finished touring the house, she took Lin Wanshu's arm and acted coquettishly. Anyway, she came back just for Lin Wanshu, and she didn't want to go back to the northwest until she had spent enough time with her. Lin Wanshu didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but she missed her so much after not seeing her for so long. Okay. Don't worry, I'll arrange it for you. When Feng Jianxi heard that he could live with his sister for a while, he was overjoyed. After putting away their luggage, they went to the school to register. Here, Lin Wanshu has already started her college life. On the other side, from the Red Star Brigade, He Manxiang was walking along the village road with a box of facial cream in her hand, looking ostentatious. It is not time to go to work yet, and the young girls and wives are gathered together to warm themselves by the fire and chat. Seeing what she was holding, someone screamed, "Look, isn't that the Shuefu facial cream produced by Shengchun Pharmaceutical Factory?" When they heard that it was Shuefu applying facial cream, the women became nervous and turned their heads to look. Sure enough, the familiar box in her hand, what else could it be but Shengchun Pharmaceutical Factory's Shuefu facial cream? When He Manxiang saw that they noticed her facial cream, she couldn't help but raise her head with a proud and complacent expression. "This is Shuefu facial cream. I didn't expect you to know the goods." He Manxiang lifted her hair and casually applied some facial cream in the sun. This immediately caused the women to gasp in unison. They didn't expect she could buy this cream. They were all so envious. "It's really Shuefu facial cream," someone said in amazement. "Manxiang, where did you buy that facial cream?" Someone couldn't help but ask. "No way, this facial cream is so popular right now. Every woman would dream of buying a box of Shuefu facial cream. Although this thing is not cheap, it is extremely popular and cannot be bought without connections. If a man can give a girl a box of this, the girl will definitely agree to marry him without saying a word." How could they not be shocked that He Manting had bought such a precious thing? After enjoying everyone's envious gazes, He Manxiang slowly said, "This thing was brought back to me by my husband from the city. It's not for sale here." Hearing this, the faces of the women who had originally been full of envy suddenly became very strange. "Oh, so it was given by a man. I don't know which man it was. TSK. Who else could it be? Isn't it clear who her son looks like?" Women spoke in a sarcastic tone while looking He Manting up and down. Hearing this, He Manting's face suddenly changed. "What nonsense are you talking about?" "We are talking nonsense? He Manxiang, you don't think everyone is blind? Can't they see what happened between you and Wang Yongsheng? Yes, I saw them sneaking out of the cornfield a few days ago. I don't know what dirty things they were doing in there. TSK. It's okay that her eldest son doesn't look like Zhao Mingyuan, but look at her youngest son. He looks exactly like Wang Yongsheng. With those thick lips and curly hair, who can't tell what race he is?" Women spoke one after another, and their words were full of sarcasm and ridicule. "It's a pity that Lu Jihua shows off her 2 grandsons everywhere every day, but she doesn't know that her son has been a cuckold for a long time." Originally, everyone just discussed these things in private. After all, there was no definite evidence, and they couldn't go to He Manxiang and say them. But who made He Manting so unpopular on a daily basis? Now she is showing off a box of facial cream that no one else can buy. How can she not make people hate her? He Manxiang always thought that what she and Wang Yongsheng did was perfect. It was not until she was ridiculed in person that she realized that their affair had already been widely spread.
No.
"I didn't, you are slandering me." Hearing their ridicule, He Manxiang turned pale, as if she had seen a ghost. Where was the sense of superiority she had shown off when she applied facial cream just now? Although Zhao Mingyuan tacitly approved of this, it was an affair after all, and she would be in trouble if the matter became public. But her guilty expression, in the eyes of everyone, confirmed that she must have had an affair with Wang Yongsheng. Whether it is slander or not, I think you know better than anyone else. Do you dare to compare your youngest son with Wang Yongsheng? A moment, mocking words fell on He Manxiang like snowflakes. How could she dare to stay any longer? She just ran away in a hurry. Just when I was passing by the brigade headquarters, I heard a gossipy voice coming from inside. Hey, have you heard that Lin Wanshu is the director of Shengchun Pharmaceutical Factory and that Shuefu skincare products were developed by her? Is this true? It's true. I saw Lu Caixia receive Shuefu skincare products, which were sent by Shengchun Pharmaceutical Factory. Others only had a facial cream, but she had a whole set, several bottles of various styles. When I asked her, she told me that Lin Wanshu was the factory director. TSK, how come he is so amazing? Not only did he get into Beijing University, but he is also a factory director. Qin Yan must have married a rich man. A moment, the entire brigade was filled with envious discussions. He Manting was still a little confused at first, but when she heard everyone inside talking about how Lin Wanshu was the director of Shengchun Pharmaceutical Factory, she felt like she was struck by lightning. Is she the factory manager? How so? When she heard a few days ago that she was admitted to Kyoto University, she found it incredible. Now that she heard that this wildly sought-after skincare product was produced by her, He Manxiang felt as if all her worldviews were about to be overturned. This isn't right. This isn't supposed to be like this. Something has gone wrong. A woman from the countryside like her become a factory manager? Could it be that Qin Yan helped her? After all, he is now the deputy head of the group, so it is normal for him to have this power. But how come she was admitted to Kyoto University? After all, she only graduated from junior high school, and He Manxiang didn't believe that Lin Wanshu had such great ability. Unless she knew about the college entrance examination in advance and started reviewing early. When she thought of this, He Manxiang suddenly had a very bad feeling. Lin Wanshu really reborn? She had known for a long time that Zhao Mingyuan liked men, so why didn't he think of looking for her after he was reborn? And her medical skills are completely different from her previous life. The more she thought about it, the more she felt that this was the case. He Manxiang suddenly felt a chill all over her body. Thinking of the meaningful look in her eyes when she looked at her child, He Manxiang felt indescribable humiliation and embarrassment. Is she always laughing at herself? The successive blows made He Manxiang feel like a wandering soul, and she walked home in a daze. Before I even entered the door, I heard a loud cry coming from inside. When He Manxiang heard that it was her son crying, she was startled. She didn't care about anything else and rushed back into the house. Cry, cry, cry. Why don't you cry to death, you little jerk? As soon as I entered the door, I saw Lu Juhua grabbing her son's ears and pulling him hard.
Mom.
What are you doing? Let go and march forward. However, when Lu Juhua heard this, her eyes became gloomy, as if she wanted to eat someone.
He.
You want me to let him go? Okay, come here. He Manxiang looked at her strange eyes and was suddenly frightened. I won't go. Go ahead. The old woman beat people so hard that it hurt so much. How could she dare to go over there? Don't come over? Fine. I'll strangle this little jerk to death right now. Lu Juhua said this. She pinched Xiao Jinjun hard. While pinching him, she cursed. I told you to have an affair. I told you to cheat on my son. I'll strangle you to death. You jerk. People outside were talking about how neither of her two grandsons looked like her son. Eldest grandson was born. Lu Juhua didn't believe these absurd words at all. But as her grandson grew older and his hair became collier, her psychological defenses were completely broken. How could Lu Juhua bear it anymore after being ridiculed again for her son being cuckolded? When he came back, he took out his anger on Xiao Jinjun. Little Jinjun was pinched so hard that he cried even more heartbreakingly. He Manxiang was already very upset today. Now seeing her son about to be strangled so badly, how could she care about all these things? He immediately shouted loudly, "Do you think I want to have someone else's child? Do you know that your son is not capable of that? He found someone to sleep with me." Hearing this, Lu Jihua stopped moving and turned her head sharply, staring at He Manxiang with her eyes.
What did you say?
He Manxiang rushed forward to rescue her little son, hugged him tightly, and quickly stepped back a few steps before saying, "It's your son who found someone to cheat on him. Your son is useless and can't make a woman pregnant. If you dare to pinch my son again, I will tell the villagers about this." As soon as these words were spoken, Lu Jihua's eyes suddenly went dark. But she simply couldn't accept what He Manxiang said.
Non. Impossible.
How could my son be useless? You must be lying to me. He Manxiang snorted coldly. If you don't believe me, go ask him yourself. Without her saying anything, Lu Jihua was already wishing she could ask Zhao Mingyuan in person right now. She pushed He Manxiang and the crying Xiao Jinjun away and stumbled out. Impossible. You witch must be lying to me. I'm going to ask Mingyuan. How could her son be useless? If he is useless, what will happen to the Zhao family's offspring in the future? Does she have to raise the child born by He Manxiang and this strange man for the rest of her life? How could Lu Jihua accept such an outcome? Lu Jihua ran to the door. She ran into Zhao Mingyuan. Grabbing his clothes, she stared at her son intently. Mingyuan, tell me, is what that little witch said true? Zhao Mingyuan had just come back from hanging out with Wang Yongsheng and had no idea what the two of them had said, so he asked in confusion, "Mom, what are you saying is true or not?" "I don't understand. People outside say that the two grandchildren are not yours, and that little witch He Manxiang said that you, her son, was not capable." Seeing her like this, Zhao Mingyuan misunderstood and thought that He Manxiang had revealed the fact that he liked men. Suddenly, the blood in my body seemed to be frozen, and my head was buzzing. That his mother knows. Will others know it soon? If people knew that he liked men, would he still have a chance to survive? He opened his mouth, wanting to say something, but he couldn't utter a word of rebuttal. Lu Jihua saw that everything was still unclear. What He Manting said was probably true. Instantly, her legs went weak and she collapsed to the ground. How could this happen? How could this happen? How could you not be able to do this? He is not capable. Won't their Zhao family be extinct in the future? His most difficult thing was discovered by his mother. He squatted down in pain, holding his head with his hands. I don't want this to happen, but what can I do? I just can't have children. Now, I have a grandson for you to take care of. Why do you want to expose me? Hearing him say this, Lu Jihua almost couldn't breathe. How can it be the same? Those two jerks had no blood relationship with her at all. They were born to He Manting, whom she hated the most, and another man. At this moment, He Manxiang also came over with her youngest son in her arms. Seeing Lu Jihua's desperate look, she felt indescribably happy. I told you I didn't lie to you, didn't I? I'm willing to leave you with offspring, so you better be polite to me in the future, or else I'll go out and make a scene, and you won't be able to hold your heads up high anymore. Originally, He Manxiang still took into account Zhao Mingyuan's status as the richest man in the future, so she continued to flatter him, trying her best not to offend anyone. But because Wang Yongsheng had been so good to her in the past 2 years, Zhao Mingyuan was probably jealous and often beat or scolded her. He Manxiang had been enduring in silence for so long that she couldn't stand it anymore and decided to just come clean. Anyway, she will not divorce him, and she will have half of whatever money he makes in the future. Heard that she was going to expose this matter, she immediately became anxious. No, you can't tell anyone. But after she finished speaking, she couldn't help feeling sad. Her son being incompetent or her son being cuckolded. The only thing that was clear was that she would have to raise 2 jerks in the future and their Zhao family would be extinct. When she thought of this, Lu Jihua felt despair. In her previous life? Why did God play such a trick on her? He Manxiang immediately felt certain. Soon, she, who had been suppressed for many years, straightened her back like a serf who had risen from the ashes. Used to be beaten and scolded, and had to do all the dirty and tiring work, but now she is the one who is turning around and ordering Lu Jihua and Zhao Mingyuan to do this and that. He often brought Wang Yongsheng home openly. Lu Juhua was so angry that she fainted several times. But in order to prevent her son's imperfections from being known to others, she could only swallow her anger and watch the couple and their two jerks being affectionate in her home like a family. In the village, and some people even dared to mock her son in person, calling him a cuckold. Just over half a year, Lu Juhua's upright body became hunched, and she looked like she had aged by 10 years. Not only betrayed twice, but was also laughed at in public, living in great pain every day. Once handsome face had begun to look gloomy. It seems as if his eyes were filled with poison, and no one knows when they will explode. Time flies, and it is December 1978. As the news of reform and opening up spread, the whole country was jubilant. He Manxiang was so excited that she laughed out loud towards the sky, as if she was crazy. On that day, she went against her usual practice and bought 2 kilograms of meat, prepared good wine and delicious food, and let Zhao Mingyuan and Wang Yongxing drink to their heart's content. In the evening, he even considerately pushed Wang Yongxing to Zhao Mingyuan. His flattering attitude made Zhao Mingyuan completely confused. However, he had been ignored by Wang Yongxing for too long. Now that he had regained his care, how could he care about anything else? The two of them spent some time together sweetly. Wang Yongxing began to encourage Zhao Mingyuan to do business. Ever since Zhao Mingyuan was nearly caught by the inspection team, he has had a psychological trauma on doing business. But he couldn't resist Wang Yongxing's sweet words. Finally, he gritted his teeth, took out the savings he had saved over the past 2 years, and started his business. Not long after Zhao Mingyuan started his business, a piece of news that shocked the whole country came out on the radio. Defense war broke out on the southern border. When He Manxiang thought about her man going out to make money and becoming a rich man, and Lin Wanshu's man about to go to the front line, she would wake up laughing in her dreams. At the same time, Lin Wanshu was spending the new year in Yun province and had not yet returned to school. On the eve of the war, Lin Wanshu expressed her desire to go to the front line with the medical team. Qin Yan naturally disagreed. After all, bullets have no eyes. He didn't want her to take any risk. Ayan, you have the heart to defend your country, and so do I. You can fight the enemy on the front line, and I can treat the wounded soldiers in the rear. Soldiers are not afraid of life and death, so how can I escape just because I am afraid of death? What's more, how could she feel at ease when he was on the battlefield? Qin Yan met the woman's firm and courageous gaze and was immediately shocked. If you refuse, you will never be able to say it again.
Well.
Okay. You have to be careful, stay at the medical point, and don't run around. Thousands of words can only turn into a worrying reminder in the end. There was no time for them to talk more. After settling Miao Miao and Heng Heng, the couple went to the front line together. The war broke out soon. Lin Wanshu had read about this war in the newspaper in her previous life. It was too far away from her after all. All she knew was that it took them only 1 month to win the war, and she knew nothing else. It was not until she actually arrived at the front line that she realized how cruel war was. Behind those cold numbers are such vibrant lives. Some of them were people she knew, and some even lived in the same housing estate with her. Although Qin Yan had been prepared in this life and had made a detailed plan before the war began. But their weapons are far from enough to crush the enemy, and casualties are inevitable. There was no time to think, and even less time to be sad. Lin Wanshu worked day and night with other doctors to treat the wounded. It was obviously a chilly spring day, and the clothes on her back kept getting wet and dry, but she had no time to change them, fearing that any delay would delay the treatment of a soldier. Fortunately, over the past 3 years, the production capacity of hemostatic powder at Shengchun Pharmaceutical Factory has been greatly improved. There is enough medicine at the treatment points, and the efficiency of treating soldiers has also been greatly improved. But even so, Lin Wanshu was still not satisfied. Every life is precious, and behind every soldier there is a family. As a Chinese, she naturally hoped that the casualties would be as few as possible. In order to treat the wounded, she only had 3 or 4 hours of rest a day. It's not just her, other doctors and nurses are also working around the clock. Lin Wanshu was afraid that they couldn't hold on, so she added diluted spiritual spring water to the water. After being diluted so many times, the effect has been greatly reduced, but everyone still felt much more energetic after drinking it. As time went by, Lin Wanshu was extremely busy. Fortunately, she could see the bullet checks Qin Yen put into the space every day. This was what they had agreed upon in the beginning. The two of them put something into the space every day to report their safety to each other. Here, the couple fights side by side on the front line. On the other hand, Zhao Mingyuan also listened to Wang Yongxing's words and took out his savings to go to Yangqing to get goods and sell them. Had just begun, and most people were waiting and watching. Few people dared to buy or sell things. As usual, everyone went to the supply and marketing cooperative with money and tickets to queue up to buy things. Sometimes you can't even buy it after waiting in line. The entire market is in a state of extreme shortage of goods now. As long as there is something, there is no trouble selling it. This gave Zhao Mingyuan a great opportunity. The goods he brought back from Yangqing were not only cheap, but also did not require invoices, so they were quickly sold out. In a short period of time, he earned 6,000 yuan. Of this money, after deducting the 3,000 yuan for purchasing goods and his daily expenses, he gave the remaining 3,000 yuan to Wang Yongxing. Wang Yongxing didn't expect He Manxiang to be so capable. She made a fortune just by coming up with an idea. Now that he had money, he became more arrogant. After giving He Manxiang 1,000 yuan, he used the rest to dress himself up nicely and bought himself a bicycle, as well as a watch and a radio. He spent all the $2,000 in one go. After a complete makeover, he would parade around the team with a radio every day and soon attracted the attention of the young girls and wives. Although he has a bad reputation in recent years because of his involvement with He Manxiang, but he was not married on the surface after all, so soon matchmakers started to look for someone to marry him off. When Wang Yongxing heard that a girl wanted to marry him, he naturally became distracted. However, he didn't dare agree to it, for fear that He Manxiang and Zhao Mingyuan would turn against him. But even if she refused, he often flirted with other young wives behind their backs. He Manxiang was still immersed in the joy of her impending wealth. How could she have imagined that Wang Yongxing would have an affair with another woman behind her back? What's more, she was already crazy with joy after getting $1,000 all at once. I spent 200 yuan to make a few dresses for myself and 2 sets of clothes for my 2 children, and spent another 20 yuan to buy a complete set of Xuefu skincare products. There was still 600 or 700 yuan left, but she didn't think of saving it. She gave 500 yuan to her parents' home, and used the rest of the money to provide Wang Yongxing with delicious food and drinks every day, allowing him to coax Zhao Mingyuan and continue to do business. Zhao Mingyuan was so proud of himself because he had tasted the sweetness. Wang Yongxing didn't need to persuade him at all. He wanted to go to Yangqing to get the goods. Last time, Zhao Mingyuan became bolder. This time, after deducting travel expenses and food and drink, he used all the remaining money to purchase goods. However, the late 1970s and early 1980s were a time when Social Security was at its most chaotic. All kinds of robberies, thefts, and frauds on the road. The goods that Zhao Mingyuan sold for more than 2,000 yuan were really too eye-catching. After returning to the city, not long after we left the train station, all our belongings were snatched away. Not only were his things stolen, but he was also beaten black and blue. Because he had no experience, he didn't even think about hiding his money. After being robbed, he was left without a penny. In the end, he could only beg all the way back to the Red Star Brigade. In the Red Star Brigade, He Manxiang and Wang Yongxing were feeling elated every day because of their sudden wealth. He didn't care about what others said and often made a mess in a room late at night. It was the same this night. The two were having fun when suddenly the door was kicked open from outside. This time, Zhao Mingyuan not only didn't make any money, but also had all his money robbed. After finally returning home, you run into these two jerks fooling around? All the ridicule he had endured over the past year turned into anger at this moment. Unable to hold back, he raised the carrying pole in his hand and hit the two men hard.
Ah!
It hurts. He Manxiang was beaten so hard that she screamed. She jumped off the bed and ran around the room without even caring about the fact that she was still dressed. Wang Yongsheng was also hit several times with a carrying pole, and the pain was so severe that he couldn't help cursing. Mingyuan, what are you doing? Are you crazy? Hearing this, Zhao Mingyuan almost laughed out of anger.
Ha ha ha.
Am I crazy? I was almost beaten to death, but you two are having fun here? As he said that, he continued to swing the carrying pole and hit the two men indiscriminately. Who heard the noise, came over quickly. Seeing this couple being beaten by her son, she felt extremely happy. Not only did he have no intention of persuading people, he even picked up a broom and helped beat the guy. Beat you two adulterers to death. You guys are allowed to mess around in my house. A moment, the whole room was filled with screams and wailing. Soon attracted the attention of neighbors. Seeing the two people being chased and beaten by Zhao Mingyuan and his mother, everyone was shocked. I thought these two were having an affair. Look, they've been caught red-handed. TSK, 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 how shameless. How dare she steal someone into my home? Soon, the entire Zhao family was surrounded by people in 3 layers. He Manxiang was an envy nouveau riche a few days ago, but now she has turned into a beautiful girl who is caught in bed. Listening to those sounds of contempt and spitting, she felt so ashamed that she wanted to faint on the spot. But the carrying pole still hit her on the head. Soon, He Manxiang's body was covered with bruises, and she looked embarrassed and in pain. The news that Wang Yongsheng and He Manxiang were caught in bed together soon spread to several nearby brigades. When the He family heard the news, they all felt extremely ashamed. Some time ago, they took 500 yuan from He Manxiang and called her daughter. Now that she was sent back, they simply locked the door and wouldn't let her in. He Manxiang gave them 500 yuan, originally thinking that if she had any problems in the future, she could ask her family for help. How could she have known that they would treat her like this? She was immediately angry and sad. Before he had lived a prosperous life for a few days, not only had all his money been spent, but he was also kicked out of the Zhao family by Zhao Mingyuan. He Manxiang couldn't go back to her parents' home, and Wang Yongsheng didn't dare to let her go back with him. In the end, she could only live in a shed in the village with her 2 children and had to face the pointing and laughing of the villagers every day. Some of the more aggressive aunties would directly spit at her and throw rotten vegetable leaves at her. He Manxiang didn't dare walk around the village during the day and had to hide with her 2 children. Without money or food, she could only seek help from Wang Yongsheng. The information available is that Wang Yongsheng is now looking for a wife and is preparing to get married. Came to the door, Wang Yongsheng's mother beat her out with a stick. He Manxiang was both angry and furious. What did Wang Yongsheng mean? He wanted to deny his responsibility just because I gave birth to 2 children for him? How could He Manxiang just watch him get married? Every day, he would pester Wang Yongsheng and ask him to get him food. Wang Yongsheng was having an affair with her and was caught in public by the whole village, completely losing all his reputation. Now I don't want to see her at all. I just want to marry another woman while I still have the 4 major items. He Manxiang had no choice but to go to Zhao Mingyuan again after being driven away. Fortunately, in order to get Zhao Mingyuan's property, she got the marriage certificate directly. Although he kicked her out, as long as they didn't get a divorce certificate, Zhao Mingyuan was still her husband in name. Her children will still get a share of his property. That's right, at this moment, He Manxiang still hadn't given up the idea of getting Zhao Mingyuan's property. Especially after witnessing how much money Zhao Mingyuan made, she became even more confident in him. Wang Yongsheng dared to betray her. He would regret it when she became successful in the future. Zhao Mingyuan now wishes he could strangle He Manxiang to death, so how could he possibly let her come back? If you don't let me go back, I will tell others about you, and Wang Yongsheng. He Manxiang didn't expect him to give her a good face anymore, so she just threatened him directly. Wang Yongsheng's matter is Zhao Mingyuan's weak spot. After all, being cuckolded would at most lead to being laughed at, but in this conservative era, if one has an ambiguous relationship with a man, a calamity would be waiting for him. In the end, he had no choice but to swallow his nausea and anger and take in the mother and her 2 children again. The villagers couldn't understand what he was doing, and there was an uproar. Many people secretly laughed at him, wondering if Zhao Mingyuan was a cuckold. Thinking of this, some smart people started to flirt with He Manxiang. He Manxiang had no concept of chastity to begin with, and her reputation was already ruined, so she just gave in. He secretly started the business from his previous life. Wang Yongsheng also couldn't be said to be the daughter-in-law of a good family because of his bad reputation. In the end, somehow, he and Lin Jiaxue fell in love with each other. In order to avoid any complications, the two of them quickly settled down, and it only took about 10 days to get married. Zhao Mingyuan didn't expect that he would actually marry a woman and brought her home. He almost went crazy, but he and Wang Yongsheng have now fallen out, so how could he bring himself to go look for him? In the end, I could only watch him marry another woman. Seeing him getting drunk, He Manxiang advised him, "If I were you, I would go south to get the goods and come back to earn money. As long as I make money, would I be afraid that he won't change his mind?" He Manxiang was extremely disappointed with Wang Yongsheng. Didn't care whether he changed his mind or not. She just wanted to coax Zhao Mingyuan into making money. As long as she has money, she will have Zhang Yongsheng and Li Yongsheng in the future. But Zhao Mingyuan is different. He is obviously a lovesick man. Even though he knew that Wang Yongsheng was not a good person, he still couldn't forget him. By keeping him hooked with this jerk, we don't have to worry that he won't take the bait. Sure enough, after He Manxiang said this, Zhao Mingyuan quickly cheered up. But where does he have the money now? He used all the money in the family to do business, and it was robbed. He Manxiang was willing to give it her all in order to help him make money. Not only did she encourage Zhao Mingyuan to borrow money, she also went to her lovers to borrow money. In this way, the two of them pooled about 1,000 yuan, and Zhao Mingyuan went south again to get the goods. By this time, it had been a full month since the war broke out. But compared to the previous life, this time the war ended a few days earlier. Looking at the date on the newspaper, He Manxiang looked unhappy. Lin Wanshu was definitely reborn. Something she said to Qin Yan that affected the battle situation. But so what? The war has ended for a week and Qin Yan has not sent back any news. He must be a real frontline worker, right? Otherwise, why wouldn't he call back to let us know he was safe? When she thought of this, He Manxiang felt secretly happy. Do you really think it's so easy to be the deputy head's wife? Once her man is dead, she is nothing. With this thought in mind, He Manxiang prayed that Qin Yan would die on the battlefield while secretly continuing her flesh trade. I don't know if it's because of the busy farming season, but no one noticed her frequent transactions. Only the men who had tasted it talked about it in private. Because Wang Yongsheng married Lin Jiaxue, he had originally planned to break up with the couple and live a good life. But who would have thought that not long after, I heard from the villagers that Zhao Mingyuan had gone to the south to make a fortune and returned. Wang Yongsheng had squandered all the 2,000 yuan he had from last time, and was now so poor that he could barely make ends meet. When he heard that his ex-lover had become rich, again shamelessly, Zhao Mingyuan was very proud when he saw that his business could really make Wang Yongsheng change his mind. However, this time, after listening to He Manxiang's words, he did not forgive Wang Yongsheng immediately but asked him to go south with him to make money. Wang Yongsheng didn't want to take such a big risk at all, so he tried his best to coax him. Soon, the two got back together. He Manxiang was no longer surprised by this and ignored them. She just counted the 1,000 yuan she had received and smiled from ear to ear. Qin Yan. The Qin family is gloomy every day. It seems that things are definitely going to be bad. A short-lived person is a short-lived person. Lin Wanshu was reborn. What would that mean? Wouldn't that still not change his fate? Although Zhao Mingyuan and Wang Yongsheng started to live happily again, he had been hurt badly after all. How could he be willing to let Wang Yongsheng get something for nothing? I'll pay the big 4,000. He Manxiang will pay 2,000 and you'll pay 2,000. After this deal, each of us can triple or quadruple our money. The two met privately again. Wang Yongsheng had just begun to persuade Zhao Mingyuan to go south as soon as possible to get the goods when he heard him say this. Suddenly, he felt overwhelmed. Wang Yongsheng spent all his 2,000 yuan to buy the 4 major items. Later, he spent a lot of money to marry Lin Jiaxue. Now he is penniless. Where can he get 2,000 yuan? Ming Yuan, I don't have 2,000 yuan on me right now. How about you give me some first? Hearing him say this, Zhao Mingyuan almost laughed out loud. I would pay him 2,000 yuan out of my own pocket, then risk my life to get the goods and sell them, then share the profit with him? He doesn't have to do anything, just ask for money and get it for free. Even though Zhao Mingyuan was completely bewitched by Wang Yongsheng, he still couldn't help feeling a little chilled. Either you pay 2,000 yuan or you come with me to Guangzhou. If he is willing to go to Guangzhou with him, he can give him the 2,000 yuan. But Wang Yongsheng had just married Lin Jiaxue, and they were getting very happy. Why would he be willing to take the risk of going to Guangzhou? He had heard that the journey to the south was full of dangers. Since Zhao Mingyuan was able to return safely and earn so much money, it means that he has already established his own system. It's okay for him to go doesn't mean I can come back safely if I go. Thinking of this, he gritted his teeth and said reluctantly, Then I'll think of a way to get $2,000 for you. Anyway, it is impossible for him to leave Lin Jiaxue now. Although her reputation was ruined, she was once a woman that many men in the village wanted to marry. Wang Yongsheng felt a subtle sense of satisfaction for being able to marry him. Seeing that he would rather collect money than accompany him south, Zhao Mingyuan would be lying if he said he was not disappointed. The disappointment, he felt a little depressed. When he makes a lot of money, he doesn't believe that Wang Yongsheng will not follow him. With money, he can also avert the humiliation of being laughed at by others. With this idea in mind, after Wang Yongsheng finally borrowed 2,000 yuan from various sources, Zhao Mingyuan took the money and went south to get the goods. Lin Jiaxue didn't know that Wang Yongsheng was in debt, so she asked him for money to buy this, and that as she did before. Wang Yongsheng was very fond of her, so how could she refuse? He gritted his teeth and borrowed several dozen yuan for her to squander. Lin Jiaxue was very proud of getting the money, so she rode her bicycle to the town to buy a complete set of Xuefu skincare products and make herself a dress. Dressed up beautifully and hanging skincare products on the handlebars, she proudly strolled back and forth in front of her ex-husband's house. When the neighbors saw this, they were all shocked. Lin Jiaxue is really capable. She has been seen by others, but she can still find a man with such good conditions to marry. Who said it wasn't? I heard that man bought her 4 big items. Those are the 4 big items. When Wu Dahong got married for the second time, he only bought a sewing machine with all his savings. Lin Jiaxue, who was driven out by him, not only got the 4 big items. The man was also willing to spend money to buy her a set of Xuefu skincare products. Who wouldn't be envious? Enough of the envious looks from everyone. Lin Jiaxue cast a smug look at Wu Dahong's new wife, then rode away on her bicycle. This made Wu Dahong's new wife very angry. On the other hand, after He Manxiang paid off the money she owed before, she actually only had 600 yuan left. The remaining 1,400 yuan was all borrowed except for the money she earned these days. Because she had borrowed money, in order to please them, she basically did not charge any money for the next period of time. Even though she was heavily in debt, she was still cheerful every day, as if she had picked up money. Men are reluctant to spend money in the first place, and now that they are getting a good deal, how could they be polite to her? Whenever they get the chance, no matter where they are, they will pester her. Truth cannot be hidden, and soon, what He Manxiang did was discovered by the men's wives. I knew she was shameless, but I didn't expect her to be so shameless. When the women learned that their husbands had an affair with He Manting, they were furious. They came directly to He Manxiang's house and started tearing, pulling, and beating her. After Lu Jihua beat He Manxiang last time, she regained the upper hand. When she saw someone coming to her house to beat He Manxiang, she not only refused to help, but also handed them a stick. He Manxiang was beaten so badly that her skin was torn and there wasn't a single piece of healthy flesh on her body. Wait. Just wait. There will be a time when you will beg me for help. When Zhao Mingyuan opens a factory, won't they come to kneel down and lick her toes?
Bah.
You beautiful girl. If you dare to look for my national army again, I will shave all your hair. He Manting's body and face were covered in bloody scratches, and her clothes were torn to shreds as she was dragged to the door, being pointed at and criticized. TSK, 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 how shameless. She hooked up with so many men. Even the toilet is not so dirty. Who said she wasn't? I heard people say she was charging money before. How despicable. When they heard that she was charging money, everyone was shocked, and the women were so angry that they wanted to tear her apart alive. How much money did our national army give you? Return it quickly. If anyone has any connections with me, hand over the money immediately, or I'll call the police to arrest you. Lao Yujin pulled He Manxiang's hair with one hand and slapped her in the face with the other hand. He Manxiang's face, which was already bleeding from being scratched, was beaten like a pig's head. She screamed in pain and couldn't help begging for mercy. Stop fighting, stop fighting. I gave the money to Ming Yuan to do business. When he comes back, I will return it to you immediately. But Lao Yujin and the others were so angry that they would not listen to what she said. Seeing that she had no intention of taking the money, they took turns grabbing her flesh and pinching it hard. He Manxiang was pinched so hard that she was in excruciating pain. Finally, seeing that she really couldn't come up with the money, Lao Yujin let her go. I give you 2 days. I don't care whether you borrowed it or stole it. Return the money to me immediately, or I will call the police. The few of them said this viciously, and then walked away. He Manxiang was left lying on the ground, looking half dead.
Wait.
Just wait for her. When Zhao Mingyuan comes back, she'll use the money to beat them to death. He Manxiang thought hatefully. In the next few days, she was still beaten by debt collectors every day. She was beaten so badly that she dared not go out and could only hide in the house. At the same time, Wang Yongxing began to feel overwhelmed by Lin Jiaxue's extravagant spending. However, when he thought that Zhao Mingyuan would soon bring a lot of money back to him, Wang Yongxing endured it and continued to lend money to Lin Jiaxue to squander. Time passed little by little as the two of them waited in anticipation. It was unknown how long it had been before they finally received the news that Zhao Mingyuan had returned. Zhao Mingyuan is back. Upon hearing the news, He Manxiang dragged her bruised and battered body and ran towards the threshing ground where the tractor was parked. Naturally, among those who went there was Wang Yongxing, who was equally anxious. In the past, now ignore each other when they meet. He Manxiang resented him for being unkind and betraying her and marrying another woman. Wang Yongxing was disgusted that she was selling herself for money, not to mention that she was now in such a state that she was no longer recognizable. He felt his eyes were dirty just by looking at it. In this way, the two of them ran to the threshing ground one after the other. Before I got close to the tractor, I saw from afar a lot of people surrounding it in 3 layers. The scene was filled with noise, with people pointing and talking at the same time, but no one knew what they were talking about. How could He Manxiang care what they said? She finally squeezed through the crowd, but before she saw Zhao Mingyuan, she choked with sobs, looking aggrieved. Mingyuan, you're finally back. Woo woo woo. When he came back, he had money and no longer had to be beaten by that group of crazy women. Wang Yongxing also pushed through the crowd with an anxious look on his face. Mingyuan, you're back. How much money did you make this time? He said that their profits could triple or quadruple, so wouldn't that mean he could get at least 6,000 yuan this time? Just as he was thinking happily, he saw people on both sides looking at him strangely. Wang Yongxing's heart skipped a beat, and he had an inexplicable bad feeling. And at this moment, He Manxiang's terrified scream came from the innermost part.
Ah, Mingyuan, what happened to you?
Why did you become like this? After hearing this, Wang Yongxing realized that the person on the tractor, who was wrapped like a dumpling, could be no other than Zhao Mingyuan. Seeing him like this, Wang Yongxing's legs and feet suddenly went weak. Suddenly thinking of something, he rushed forward. Mingyuan, Mingyuan, where's the money? Where's the money I gave you? Didn't you say you would make a lot of money back? As he spoke, he grabbed Zhao Mingyuan's arm and shook it. But Zhao Mingyuan didn't have a single piece of healthy skin on his body. How could he withstand such a pinch? The pain was so severe that I almost fainted. He Manxiang was also very anxious. She grabbed his other arm and yelled, "How could you get yourself into this state? Where's the money? Where did it go?
Take it out now.
I still have a debt to pay. If she doesn't pay back the money, she will be beaten to death by those crazy women." The others couldn't stand it anymore, so they stepped forward to pull the two apart. "What are you doing? Don't you see that Zhao Mingyuan is seriously injured? Why are you torturing him like this?" But Wang Yongsheng was so anxious now that he didn't care about anything else. "Let me go. He owes me money. He owes me $2,000. I have to pay him back." He Manxiang also struggled desperately, as if she wanted to go up to Zhao Mingyuan and strip him to see where the money was. When Zhao Mingyuan listened to Wang Yongsheng's cruel and heartless words, his heart suddenly felt like a hole had been broken in it and the cold wind was whistling. He owed him? How can he have the nerve to say such a thing? Last time. But in the end he owed me that? Just at this moment, Qin Jinbang came over with the militia. These days, because there has been no news from his son, his hair has turned a lot whiter and he looks much more haggard. But even so, his voice was still full of energy. "Who is causing trouble here?" As soon as these words fell, the scene fell silent for a moment, and then someone said, "Captain, Zhao Mingyuan was robbed and nearly beaten to death. His legs were broken, and it was Erhua from the village who saw him and sent him to the hospital for treatment. He was just brought back to the brigade, and these two are blocking everyone from carrying Zhao Mingyuan back to rest." Hearing this, Qin Jinbang's face suddenly turned dark. "Nonsense. Get out of the way. Lift Mingyuan off the tractor first." The militiamen acted quickly. As soon as Qin Jinbang finished speaking, they stepped forward and pulled Wang Yongsheng and the other man apart. The others quickly moved Zhao Mingyuan to a stretcher and carried him home. Upon hearing that Zhao Mingyuan was robbed, He Manxiang and Wang Yongsheng's faces turned pale. How so? He was robbed? His leg was broken? Wouldn't that mean all their money was wasted? He Manxiang did not give up and checked the tractor carefully again. When she saw that it was empty and there was nothing on it, she collapsed to the ground. He muttered to himself, "Impossible. How is this possible? He is obviously very capable and will become the richest man in the future. Man be robbed and have his legs broken?" Wang Yongsheng was very annoyed at the moment because the 2,000 yuan he lost was all borrowed. Hearing that she dared to say that, he immediately became furious and kicked her.
"Witch.
If you hadn't instigated me, how could I have lost 2,000 yuan? I don't care. If Zhao Mingyuan can't pay the money, you have to pay it to me." He Manxiang didn't expect him to be so shameless. Not only did he ask her for money, but he also kicked her. The severe pain made her angry and hateful, and her head was buzzing. "I want to compensate you. Wang Yongsheng, how dare you say such a thing? I gave birth to 2 sons for you, and you married someone else without any regard for our old relationship. Now you dare to ask me for money? Are you still a human being?" Heard her admit with her own mouth that the 2 sons were Wang Yongsheng's. There was an uproar among those who had not left yet. "I said those 2 species belong to Wang Yongsheng, right? What do you think Zhao Mingyuan wants? He knows that his son is not his, but he still continues to live with He Manxiang? This is what puzzles everyone. Anyone with a bit of blood in his veins would want to kill the adulterous couple on the spot. But they just acted as if nothing had happened and continued to live under the same roof. How can this not be strange?" When Wang Yongsheng saw that He Manxiang had actually spilled all her secrets, he was startled, and his wandering rationality quickly returned to its original state.
"No.
Forget it, I'll go find Zhao Mingyuan. Anyway, otherwise he would be finished. Those relatives have started to collect the debt, and he has promised to pay them back in the next few days. If he had no money, they would definitely take away all 4 major items from him. By then, Lin Jiaxue will also turn against him." After saying this, Wang Yongsheng ran away. He Manxiang was left alone to face the pointing and criticizing of the crowd. She had just been kicked and was in so much pain that she couldn't even stand up. But she couldn't care less. Her mind was filled with only one thought. Zhao Mingyuan's leg was broken. Can he still make money in the future? Can he still become the richest man? Manxiang quickly figured out that not only were Zhao Mingyuan's legs broken, but even his tendons were torn. The doctor at the hospital said that even if he recovered from his injury, it would be difficult for him to walk normally, and he would have to use crutches. Hearing that his legs and feet could not be recovered, Manxiang collapsed to the ground. Zhao Mingyuan's legs are broken. How can he do business in the future? After all, it takes a lot of physical strength to go from here to Guangzhou to get things and resell them. Without good legs, how can you possibly do better than others? And just at this moment, a sensational news came from the team. Lin Wanshu sent a telegram back saying that Qin Yan was fine and that they had won the battle. Someone was holding a telegram and talking loudly as he walked. Hearing this, the members immediately became excited. Really? He's okay? That's great. The captain can finally have a good night's sleep. Qin Yan is fine. Delivery man arrived at the Qin family soon. When the Qin family heard the news, they were so excited that they burst into tears on the spot. Their loved ones have been on the battlefield for so long without any news, and no one knows how much pain they are in. Now that they knew he was fine, how could they bear it any longer? Who followed him all comforted him. Captain, stop crying. Qin Yan will be fine. There will be more blessings in the future. After all, he won a battle, so his contribution must be significant. Everyone couldn't help but feel happy for him. After all, he was a hero who defended his country. And he was from their team. How can one not be proud of this? Manxiang looked at everyone with excited expressions, as if the one who returned safely was not Qin Yan, but their own relatives. She almost choked on a mouthful of blood. The battlefield is such a cruel place. Why is he not hurt at all? On the contrary, Zhao Mingyuan just went to do business, but both his legs were broken because of robbery. Not only did he not make any money, he also owed a lot of debts. Manxiang was like a wandering soul, walking around the village in a daze. Why did God play such a trick on her? She had clearly seized the opportunity to marry the future richest man, but in the end he broke both legs and his future was uncertain. Manxiang was suffering when she ran into Lao Yujin.
Which?
Zhao Mingyuan promised to pay me back when he came back. Where's the money? With his hands on his hips, Lao Yujin glared at Manxiang with a ferocious look. Manting was trembling with fear. I don't have any money. She doesn't have a penny on her now, and she didn't receive a penny from all the free things she had done those days. After waiting for a long time, Zhao Mingyuan finally came back, but all his money had been robbed. She going to get money for her now? When he heard that she refused to pay back the money, he then waved to the people behind him. Manxiang's screams were heard from the corner of the village road. At the same time, the borderline of Yun province. The war had ended 2 or 3 months earlier, but the cleanup of the battlefield was still ongoing. The injured who have undergone preliminary surgery have been sent to hospitals for treatment one after another. Both Qin Yan and Lin Wanshu remained on the front line. Qin Yan arranged the soldiers' withdrawal in an orderly manner, while Lin Wanshu continued to take care of the injured soldiers in the medical point. Make sure their wounds don't get infected and get worse. In fact, during these days, she has used the spiritual spring water in the space several times and successfully saved several lives that were almost lost. But Lin Wanshu didn't regret it at all. She was even glad that she had such a miraculous thing. Otherwise, in such a critical moment, even the most skilled doctor would be powerless to save the patient. No one knew how much time had passed, so long that Lin Wanshu began to wonder if she had been here for several years, when the last soldier at the treatment center was also withdrawn. And she finally received the order to withdraw. Since the war, and she and Qin Yan have met several times. But every time we met, we only had a quick meeting and couldn't even say a few words before we parted. This time she pulled back. She didn't see him. Probably because he had other things to deal with. Lin Wanshu did not force him to stay, but followed the medical team back to the army. After working at high intensity for such a long time, she finally got home and fell asleep directly, without even taking a shower. I don't know how long I slept. In my dream, there is still a battlefield with raging gunfire and those young faces. Some had broken hands, some had broken feet, and their bodies were covered in blood, but no one was willing to leave the front line. Lin Wanshu was so anxious that she was running around in circles. I wish I could rush over to stop their bleeding and bandage them. Return. Stop rushing, you will die. Lin Wanshu shouted to the seriously injured soldiers, but what responded to her were the soldiers' brave and fearless words. I'd rather die one step forward than live half a step back. The people are in the battle. With my company of brave generals here, the enemy will never be able to reach Laozhan. I don't know when. Lin Wanshu's pillowcase has been wet, but she didn't notice it at all. I could only look at the figures who came one after another with heartache and sadness. She didn't know how long it had been before she felt a warm sensation gently sliding across her cheek. The rough fingertips rubbed her skin, and it was a bit painful. Lin Wanshu suddenly woke up. As soon as I opened my eyes, I saw a face with a scruffy beard. Seeing her, Lin Wanshu's already red and swollen eyes suddenly felt sore again. Unable to hold back, she stood up and hugged him tightly. She was on the front line, she was busy saving lives every day and had no time to think about anything else. But she stopped at this moment, and all the emotions that she had suppressed for a long time surged up uncontrollably. Qin Yan hated to see his wife cry. If it were in the past, he would definitely pick the person up and comfort him. But at this moment, he was unusually silent. He just held the woman in his arms quietly, without saying a word. How can I not feel heartbroken? To the front line together, but so many people stayed there forever. The iron-blooded man who remained calm in the face of death now had tears in his eyes. Of them spoke a word. They just hugged each other quietly. The cruelty of war is beyond the imagination of ordinary people. I hope that after this battle, the country can usher in lasting peace. After returning to the staff quarters, it was almost summer vacation, so Lin Wanshu simply stopped going to school. After a short rest and comforting her two babies, she quickly went back to work in the factory. Because she had been prepared in advance, the sales of her skincare products have grown exponentially since the reform and opening up. The current production capacity can no longer keep up with such a large market, and the types of skincare products are too single. Lin Wanshu plans to directly separate the skincare product production line from Shengchun Pharmaceutical Factory, not only to expand the scale but also to add several new categories. Going to the battlefield. With Su Qiuyan in the factory, a new site had already been selected. Just wait for construction to start. On this side, the factory was being built in full swing, while on the other side, many soldiers were unable to stay in the army due to serious injuries and were facing retirement and transfer. Having gotten used to life in the army, many people feel at a loss when they think about retiring and returning to their hometowns. But they will not complain. After all, being able to come back alive is already a great fortune. How many brothers who once fought side by side remained on that land forever? Qin Yan felt bad when he saw the soldiers who had no complaints even when facing retirement. According to existing regulations, the compensation for those who have been demobilized and have a job is almost negligible. Others who have participated in the war and returned to farming after being discharged from the army will receive a war allowance every month, and if they are disabled, they will also receive disability compensation. However, the country was still poor after all, and the subsidies were not enough to ensure that people had enough food and clothing. Soldiers who return from the army still have to fend for themselves. If the person has healthy hands and feet, it's not a big deal, but if the person is disabled, you can imagine how difficult life will be in the future. But no matter how uncomfortable he felt, there was nothing he could do. After all, the national conditions were there. He could only try his best to get more soldiers opportunities to transfer to civilian jobs. At least I have a job, and my life is secure. However, the industry at that time was too backward. Even after the reform and opening up, there were still far too few jobs to satisfy the employment of so many people. Just when he was having a headache, Lin Wanshu brought back a plan. What's this? Qin Yan was writing something on the desk in the room. When he saw the plan handed over by Lin Wanshu, he couldn't help but ask curiously.
You'll know when you see it.
Lin Wanshu kept it a secret, her eyes sparkling like stars in the sky. Although he didn't know what she wrote, just looking into those eyes, Qin Yan's heart, which had been heavy recently, felt a little relieved. Under her expectant gaze, he opened the plan. The next second, Qin Yan was stunned. It turns out that the top line of words read, Veteran Reemployment Program. The plan details the factory's development plan. Due to the great expansion of the factory scale, the original 1 or 200 jobs have now increased to thousands of people. It has increased several times. Nearly half of the positions give priority to veterans. There is no doubt that she had arranged this plan before the war began, because she has considered all kinds of problems in all aspects. Reading the plan, Qin Yan no longer knew what words to use to describe the excitement in his heart at the moment. Wife, how can you be so nice? I don't know how many times he has said this. But Qin Yan still felt that Lin Wanshu's kindness was unreal to him until now. To the front line herself, accompanying him to fight without fear. After they returned victoriously, she quietly began to arrange jobs for the veterans. Every time when Qin Yan thought that his love for her couldn't be more, she would always let him know in the next second that his love could be even stronger. Lin Wanshu looked at him tenderly. Ian, they are not only your soldiers, but also my comrades in arms and heroes guarding our country's borders. I only hope that these heroes can find a good home. Hearing this, Qin Yan could no longer suppress his inner excitement. He hugged the person in his arms, his voice full of joy and gratitude. Wan, I want to say thank you to you on behalf of the soldiers. The news that injured veterans were able to work in factories soon spread throughout the army. In an instant, the entire army was plunged into a sea of excitement. Learned that their comrades were going to retire and return home, they felt extremely sad. After all, who would be willing to retire if they could continue to stay in the army? What's more, some of the comrades are disabled. What can they do when they return home? Now hearing that these comrades can get such good arrangements, the joy in the soldiers' hearts can no longer be described in words. Had recovered from their injuries, first returned to their hometown to reunite with their families, and then returned to Lan County one after another when the factory was almost completed. If the disability is serious and the person is unable to work, a family member may be allowed to take his place. However, half of the salary will be deposited into the soldier's savings account. With the experience of expanding the scale twice, although the scale increased several times this time, the factory still started operations smoothly. Lin Wanshu selected several people who originally held high positions and had outstanding abilities to serve as managers. I have to say that the organization and discipline of Chinese soldiers are so good that even if they change their careers and work in factories, they adapt quickly and their production efficiency is astonishingly high. With the acceleration of reform and opening up, women's natural love of beauty has also been greatly released. Not only do they pursue various fashionable styles and clothing, but they also spend a lot of money on dressing up. Before the reform, Shuefu skincare products had set off a skincare craze across the country. Everyone knows how effective this skincare product is, and they all recognize this brand. After the reform, Shuefu launched a series of cosmetics, which were sold out as soon as they were launched on the market. Those who bought it were overjoyed, while those who couldn't were beating their chests and stamping their feet. There is no other reason, it's just because Shuefu brand cosmetics are so magical. Other cosmetics look fake and powdery when applied on the face, but Shuefu's liquid foundation, when applied on the face, makes it look like your skin is naturally that good. Who doesn't want a set of such useful cosmetics? Even though the price is not cheap, they are willing to save money and buy one. In this way, relying on this skincare and beauty product, the Shuefu series swept the entire domestic skincare and beauty market in a short period of time. The factory was profitable, so Lin Wanshu applied to her superiors to set up a special guarantee fund. The fund is mainly used to ensure the basic living of the families of sacrificed soldiers and disabled soldiers who did not choose to work in factories, but returned to their hometowns. Learn that the army still took such good care of them. He worked even harder. As for Lin Wanshu, who proposed to set up the fund, they admired and respected her from the bottom of their hearts. Basically, no matter what Lin Wanshu said regarding matters in the factory, they obeyed unconditionally. Thanks to the good factory structure, good management, and enough capable people, Lin Wanshu continued to manage the factory life while studying. Time soon arrived, and it was the Spring Festival of 1981. Because of the previous war, they did not return to their hometown. Although the situation has not been stabilized yet, the people fighting have been replaced by people from other military regions. Qin Yan was on vacation during the Spring Festival, and since Lin Wanshu happened to graduate this year, the family of four went back to their hometown together. Returned to Ling County after 5 years, he was already 6 years old. Originally, Lin Wanshu was worried that he would be a taciturn person like his father, but she was obviously overthinking it. Although the little guy was very serious and didn't talk much when he was young, he became very naughty when he grew up. Every day, he took a group of kids to run around the compound, sometimes climbing up trees, sometimes going down to the river. Lin Wanshu couldn't help but feel veins popping out on his forehead when he saw this. Fortunately, Miao Miao was there and was able to control him. Otherwise, he would have gone to heaven. Miao Miao is 8 years old now. She used to run around the yard chasing her brothers and sisters when she was a child, but now she has become a quiet little beauty. My favorite thing to do every day is reading. Sometimes after finishing the children's books, she would read her books of medicinal herbs with pictures. Lin Wanshu didn't know whether she could understand it or not, but if she wanted to, she could just let her watch. This time, the family of four came back in a car. As soon as the car arrived at the entrance of the village, it immediately caused a sensation.
Look.
It's a car. Soon, both sides of the road were filled with people. Everyone looked around at the four-wheeled vehicle with curiosity. In an era when bicycles were the equivalent of BMWs in later generations, it goes without saying how much of a stir a car could cause. Everyone watched and exclaimed in amazement. Is this really a sedan? The kind of car that only the chief executive can ride in? It is indeed a sedan. I only saw one from our county government. Could it be someone from the county? Just as everyone was guessing who was in the car, someone suddenly shouted, "It's Qin Yan. I saw it." The person driving the car is Qin Yan. Hearing this, everyone present couldn't help but gasp. What did you say? Did Qin Yan drive this car back? You're not seeing things, are you? How could Qin Yan be driving a sedan instead of a military vehicle? The person who just spoke said with certainty, "You are not mistaken. It is Qin Yan. If you don't believe me, just follow him and you will know." Everyone hadn't seen enough, so how could they bear it any longer after hearing this? Suddenly, everyone couldn't help but chase after him. Was trapped in the crowd, looked at the car gradually going away. She felt like she was struck by lightning and couldn't come back to her senses for a long time. She also saw the person sitting in the passenger seat just now. Recognized that familiar figure even if it turned into ashes. It's Lin Wanshu for sure. She actually came back in a sedan. He Manxiang was in a daze, trapped in the crowd, and could only move forward with the flow of people. Soon, a group of people followed the car and arrived at the Qin family. After the car stopped, the driver's door opened. Then, a tall and long-legged figure walked down from the cab. When they saw that it was really Qin Yan, the scene suddenly became lively. Villagers couldn't help but flock forward to greet him. Soon, he was surrounded by enthusiastic villagers. "Qin Yan, you're back? How was the battle? Were all the monkeys driven away? Qin Yan, what took you so long to come back? Are you not hurt?" Listening to everyone's concerned words, Qin Yan's eyes softened unconsciously.
Al fine.
The monkey has been driven away. The current war is more for training soldiers from various military regions. When to stop is no longer up to the monkeys to decide. Hearing that the monkey was driven away, everyone cheered. There were too many people crowding the car. Lin Wanshu finally got out of the car, but was soon surrounded by people again. The villagers loved this miracle doctor who cured their rheumatism no less than Qin Yan. After another round of inquiries, the Qin family members who had just come out after hearing the noise finally squeezed in. Saw her son coming back safe and sound. Her eyes immediately became red. "You're finally back."
Mom was so worried about me.
As soon as she hugged him, son Shifeng couldn't stop crying. The others were also wiping away tears. Although they knew that he was fine and doing well in the army, he was on the battlefield after all. How could they feel at ease if they didn't see him for a day? The newly appointed Secretary Huang saw that the Qin family had finally met and must have a lot to talk about, so he did not let the villagers continue to disturb them. Just drive everyone back. The car is right here and it won't move. They came back to celebrate the new year. You'll see the same thing tomorrow. When everyone heard this, they agreed and decided not to stay any longer. Soon, the crowd dispersed. Lin Wanshu then opened the car door and let her son and daughter get out. The two got off the car. They heard Qin Yiwu's excited voice. Sister, Heng, you're finally back. A few years, the three Qin Yiwu brothers have grown a lot taller. Qin Jiao hadn't seen these brothers for a long time, but she was not reserved and greeted them gracefully. Big brother, second brother, third brother. Seeing the soft and tender sister who seemed like a different person, the brothers were stunned at first, and then they responded a little stiffly. Hey.
Sister. Sister.
Lin Wanshu looked at the brothers who didn't know what to do with their hands and feet, and couldn't help but laugh. She said to Qin Yiheng, who was standing beside her, Heng, why don't you call me brother? Hearing this, Qin Yiheng looked the brothers up and down, paused, and then said, They can't beat me. Why should I call them brother? If they want to call him, they should call him Brother Heng. The three brothers didn't expect their younger brother to say that, and they were stunned again. The first one to come to his senses was so angry that he laughed. Hey, you little brat, you're so arrogant? How about I practice with you? Even as tall as his shoulders, yet you dare to speak so arrogantly? Qin Yishuan was also unconvinced and said, Yes, come and practice. Third brother will let you have a hand. Don't say I'm bullying you. Qin Yuan looked a little embarrassed when he heard what his two younger brothers said. Don't talk nonsense, brother. I was just joking. Who's kidding you? If the three of you can beat me together, I'll call you brothers. Qin Yiheng crossed his arms across his chest, looking unruly. Lin Wanshu was speechless. She didn't know who this little brat looked like. Obviously, both Qin Yan and I are so calm. Who was talking to Sun Shifeng, just glanced at his son when he heard his words, then looked away, not intending to pay any attention to him. Qin Yiheng was still provoking his brothers, but when he felt the look from his father, he couldn't help but shudder. Before he could figure out what his father meant, he was slapped on the head. You're so rude. They're your cousins. Call them politely. From his sister, the rebellious look on Qin Yiheng's face collapsed in an instant. Lowered his head and spoke in a somewhat listless voice. Big brother, second brother, third brother. Hearing this, Qin Jiao withdrew her hand with satisfaction. Beating my younger brother is addictive. No wonder Sister Qingqing likes to beat Wang Wei so much. Who was beaten, did not dare to complain at all, let alone resist. Because if he dared to do anything to his sister, his father would definitely find 100 ways to deal with him. A 5-kilometer load-bearing cross-country race was nothing. If he annoyed him off, he would just throw him into the jungle without giving him any food. Qin Yiheng could only eat whatever he could get. After being bullied a few times, he finally understood that in this family his mother was number 1, his sister was number 2, and he was at the bottom of the food chain. Qin Yiheng didn't know what the food chain meant, but according to what Brother Shinyu said, he had the lowest status in the family.
Oh.
What a miserable life. However, Qin Yiheng just sighed and quickly cheered up. His sister doesn't let him fight. He will fight secretly later. Qin Jinbang hadn't seen these two little ones for a long time and was very surprised to see them. I quickly asked them to go home. Qin Yan had already driven the car into his yard. The family circled the car several times, their eyes full of amazement. Second brother, where did this car come from? Qin Jinbang couldn't help but asked curiously. Qin Yan glanced at Lin Wanshu, his eyes full of pride. This is a reward given to Wan by the state. It turned out that Lin Wanshu's Xuefu series of skincare products were actually sold overseas and earned a lot of foreign exchange. In addition, the drugs produced by the pharmaceutical factory are basically based on the prescriptions she provided. These drugs are not only effective but also affordable and are very popular across the country. Not only does it pay a lot of taxes to the local government, but it also provides jobs for nearly 2,000 people. Her superiors directly awarded her a car and tens of thousands of yuan. Hearing that this car was a national award, the Qin family was immediately excited. Great! Wan Shu has made great progress and has even been recognized by the country. Qin Jinbang and Sun Shifeng kept praising him. Lu Saixia, who was always enthusiastic and cheerful, was unusually silent this time. While her parents-in-law and her husband were busy with the car, she quietly returned to the kitchen and started cooking. Lin Wanshu saw it, paused, and followed into the kitchen. In the kitchen, Lu Saixia was busy killing a chicken. Seeing Lin Wanshu coming in, she smiled a little stiffly. "Wanshu, I don't need your help here. I can do it myself. Don't get your clothes dirty." In 7 or 8 years, the person in front of her jumped from a village woman like her to a Beijing University student and a factory director. She was dressed in bright and beautiful clothes, like the wife of a leader. Just standing in front of her, Lu Saixia felt embarrassed and ashamed of herself, as if he was afraid that his rudeness would offend her. Hearing this, Lin Wanshu said helplessly, "Sister-in-law, what are you talking about? I haven't been back for a few years, and you are being so distant with me." After saying that, she rolled up her sleeves, squatted down, and plucked the chicken feathers with her. With his nimble movements, how could he look like a factory director or a college student? Lu Saixia saw this. Her nervousness instantly disappeared. Instead, there was a long-lost sense of familiarity. Watching her pluck the chicken's feathers quickly, Lu Saixia also joked, "If I had known that you still had the skill of killing chickens, I should have called you in just now. Isn't it? Without me, you will lose a useful helper." Sisters-in-law chatted and laughed, and the initial awkwardness between them soon disappeared. The two of them worked together to pluck the chicken's feathers. Lu Saixia stopped her from opening the chicken's stomach. Lin Wanshu didn't force it and sat by the stove to help boil water. As she cooked, she said, "Now that reform and opening up have taken place, the country also supports ordinary people to do business. Have my sister-in-law and elder brother ever thought about doing something?" Hearing this, Lu Saixia was stunned and stopped moving her hands. "How can I have no ideas? They all come from the same family. The brother-in-law has become the deputy head of the group and will be able to move up to a higher position in the future. The sister-in-law is not only a college student, but also a factory manager. But she and Qin Hua are farmers who only know how to dig the ground every day." With such a gap, she would be lying if she said she wasn't disappointed. What's more, even if she can't think for herself, she still has to plan for the future of her 2 children. "To be honest, I have thought about starting a small business, but I have no experience and I am afraid that I will lose all my money if I fail." The lesson of Zhao Mingyuan is still there. Couldn't help but back off after seeing his miserable state. Lin Wanshu took in her eager yet nervous expression and had an idea in her mind. "It's fine as long as you have an idea, sister-in-law. I have a business and I need help. I don't feel comfortable asking outsiders, so I thought of looking for you and my brother." Hearing this, Lu Saixia immediately became energetic. "What business? What do you want us to do for you?" "I'm planning to set up a construction company. I'll figure out how to raise funds, and I'll help manage it for you, big brother." When she heard this, "Company? I only dared to set up a stall to sell some small items, but she actually planned to start a company?" Lu Saixia is not as ignorant as other villagers. After communicating with Lin Wanshu through letters over the years, she has a certain understanding of the company. After all, her Xuefu skincare products now belong to Xuefu Biotechnology Company. "I heard that the company went to High City on its own. In short, it is something high-end and can make a lot of money." Lin Wanshu looked at her shocked expression and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Yes, it's the company. Sister-in-law can ask big brother. If you are interested, we can talk slowly after dinner." As soon as he finished speaking, Qin Hua's voice came from the door. "No need to ask, I heard everything. I agree, sister-in-law. Just tell me what you need me to do." She said she was asking him for help, but Qin Hua knew clearly that Lin Wanshu was going to help them. It would be very unkind of him not to agree quickly. Seeing that he was indeed insightful, Lin Wanshu was extremely satisfied. Without further ado, she started talking to him about her plans. She was also involved in the real estate industry in her previous life and was familiar with the ins and outs of it. After a brief chat, Qin Hua's eyes suddenly lit up. He looks eager to start a company right away. Qin Jinbong listened to their conversation and then spoke. I have no objection to you two doing business together, but as your father, I have to say this. No matter how the business goes, you should not have any grudges between brothers. Big brother, you should abide by the law when you do things outside, and don't bring shame to your brother. Hearing this, Qin Hua's expression changed. After a pause, he said seriously, I understand, Dad. Where brothers turn against each other because of their own interests, and he doesn't want to let that happen with his brothers. To him, family ties are more important than anything else. Lin Wanshu and the others also nodded solemnly. Soon, Lin Wanshu and Qin Hua decided to start a company. After the family had discussed it, the two couples flew to Shenzhen for a field investigation before the Spring Festival. At the same time, He Manting's face was almost distorted as she listened to the villagers praising Lin Wanshu in different ways every day. So much has happened this year. Zhao Mingyuan's legs were completely broken. Not to mention going out to earn money, even walking normally was a luxury for him now. Because of his broken leg, he became extremely irritable and either cursed or beat people every day. But even though Zhao Mingyuan had become like this, He Manxiang still had no intention of divorcing him. After all, he really made a lot of money all at once. This shows that he is indeed good at making money. He is just in a temporary slump now, and he will stand up again soon. He Manxiang brainwashes herself every day, as if this could convince myself that I had not married the wrong person. But the creditors didn't care about that. They took turns coming to her and Zhao Mingyuan every day to urge them to pay back the money. Don't pay back the money. We will take away all their belongings. Now the entire Zhao family's home is empty, except for the fact that the stove has been demolished. However, even though they had moved so many things, it was still a drop in the bucket. In order to do business, she borrowed more than 1,000 yuan, and Zhao Mingyuan also borrowed some. Because her love trade was discovered, she can no longer do it. Without any income, she cannot afford to pay back so much money. I can only hide like a rat in a gutter every day, collecting information about Lin Wanshu sporadically. Shengchun Pharmaceutical Factory releases today. Shuefu Biotechnology Company will release skincare products and beauty products tomorrow. The more she knew, the more inexplicably familiar she felt in her heart. It was as if I saw the huge group expanding little by little in the previous life. But she still couldn't believe that the richest man's group had any connection with Lin Wanshu. Or rather, she didn't want to think about it. If that group was really founded by Lin Wanshu, as the legend said, then wouldn't her rebirth become a joke? Over time, He Manting also became a little weird. She said most often was impossible, and her choice was not wrong. But all these certainties completely collapsed when He Manxiang saw Lin Wanshu returning in a car in great style. For many days, she wandered around the village, and no one knew what she was doing. Occasionally, when I meet my creditors, I will be beaten and scolded. But she seemed to be unaware of the pain and continued walking around. It was not until she heard the words praising Lin Wanshu that she seemed to be stimulated by something. Suddenly waking up, she rushed towards home quickly. As soon as she entered the door, she saw Zhao Mingyuan sitting in the yard in a daze. She ran up and grabbed his arm. Zhao Mingyuan, let me take you to Yangcheng. We can get back on our feet there. Yes, as long as he went to Guangzhou, he would surely become rich soon and bring her to the peak of her life. Hearing this, Zhao Mingyuan finally looked up at her, but his gaze was as if he was looking at a lunatic. Go to Guangzhou? How? What are you going to take? The house had been emptied, and even the little money his mother had left had been taken away. They are now heavily in debt and penniless. Forget about going to Guangzhou. I should be thankful that I can just barely survive. He Manxiang knew that they were now penniless, but she was unwilling to accept it. Didn't she marry him just so he could make money? If he couldn't make money, I don't care. You have to get to Guangzhou even if you have to crawl. As she spoke, she shook Zhao Mingyuan frantically, her eyes wide open, and she looked like a madman. He had to earn money, even if he had to beg. He had to go to Yangcheng. Zhao Mingyuan was shaken by her and felt like his brain was about to fall apart. He was immediately furious. "You crazy. Go crazy if you want." After saying that, he suddenly pushed her away. Half a year ago, because all the things in the house were moved out, they were hungry every day, and Hee Man-xiang was so thin that her cheeks were almost sunken. How could she, who is so light and fluttery, withstand such a push? The next second, he fell to the ground with a thud and couldn't get up for a long time. Who pushed the person down, didn't even look at her, and went out on crutches. The direction he was heading was exactly the small house from which Wang Yongsheng had just been separated. It turned out that Wang Yongsheng had a hard time this year because Zhao Mingyuan was robbed and the 2,000 yuan he borrowed was all gone. Seeing that he had no money to pay back, his relatives simply took away his 4 major items. Lin Jiaxue found out that he was actually a hollow person, not only without money, but also in debt. Even the 4 major items that she was so proud of were gone. She almost went crazy. He started quarreling with him on the spot. Wang Yongsheng knew he was in the wrong and could only speak humbly to comfort others. But Wu Dahong's wife got the news from somewhere and found out that Lin Jiaxue had nothing and was in debt, so she came to her house and laughed at her. Lin Jiaxue was angry and ashamed, but there was nothing she could do. "I could only carry my pregnant belly for several months and was ridiculed by her." At this time, the family of 3 was separated. Lin Jiaxue was very upset facing a penniless family every day, so she found all kinds of faults to quarrel with Wang Yongsheng. It was the same today. Right after the quarrel, she slammed the door and walked out, holding the baby. Wang Yongsheng was left alone at home, looking worried. And just at this moment, Zhao Mingyuan came to the door. As soon as he saw him, Wang Yongsheng's face suddenly darkened. "What are you doing here?" Zhao Mingyuan finally mustered up the courage to come here, but he didn't expect that he would be so hostile to him. "I suddenly felt very unhappy. I came here to ask you to return my things. Did you think I came to see you?" Hearing this, Wang Yongsheng's face became even uglier. "What do you want?" "I don't owe you anything. If you have nothing to do, get out of here." He had just had an argument with Lin Jiaxue, so how could he be in the mood to deal with him? Even though Zhao Mingyuan had already recognized his true face, at this moment, he was still shaking with anger. "What? I gave you clothes, pants, and a watch before. Since we have no relationship anymore, please return everything to me." Wang Yongsheng's home was also ransacked by creditors, so how could he have found the watch? Even if he had, there was no way he could give it back to him. "TSK. I don't remember ever accepting these things from you. If you're not thinking straight, find a doctor to check it out." These heartless words were like pouring salt on Zhao Mingyuan's bloody wound. Looking at the impatient man in front of him, Zhao Mingyuan gritted his teeth and stared at him with his scarlet eyes. "Wang Yongsheng, I have never done anything to let you down. You wanted to sleep with Hee Man-xiang, and I agreed to your request, but in the end you were still not satisfied and married another woman. I have been with you for so many years and I have given you everything. Why do you treat me like this?" Wang Yongsheng was shocked when he met his crazy eyes. In the end, whether because he was afraid that the matter would get out of hand or because he was in the wrong, he slowed down his voice and apologized to Zhao Mingyuan.
Mingyuan, I'm sorry.
"I was so upset just now that I said those nonsense. Don't worry, I will definitely return those things to you." No matter what, he had to be comforted first, otherwise how could he give anything back to him now? Intellectually, Zhao Mingyuan felt that he shouldn't believe Wang Yongsheng's lies, but emotionally, he couldn't control his joy. In the end, no one knew who took the initiative, but the 2 of them hugged each other. Over the past year, Lin Jiaxue has not allowed Wang Yongsheng to get close to her because he was in debt. Hee Man-xiang never gave him a good look. Had been holding it in for a long time, but at Zhao Mingyuan's initiative, his rationality quickly broke free like a wild horse. The temperature in the room rose steadily with the actions of the 2 people. I don't know how long it was, but suddenly, the door was pushed open with a bang. Then, there was a commotion outside. Wang Yongsheng and Zhao Mingyuan were caught on the spot when they were doing that. Who arrested them was none other than Hee Man-xiang. Also coming here were the villagers who heard the news and Lin Jiaxue, who was carrying her child home. Under the watchful eyes of the public, Wang Yongsheng and Zhao Mingyuan's actions could not be hidden. Everyone was shocked by the scene before them. Lin Jiaxue came to her senses and couldn't help but scream. She rushed forward, waving the laundry mallet in her hand and hitting the two of them hard.
Ah!
Wang Yongsheng, why are you doing this?
You are so disgusting.
I will beat you to death. Beat you to death. Wang Yongsheng and Zhao Mingyuan didn't think that they would be caught red-handed in public. The two of them were like two wooden men, still maintaining their original postures. The blood in their bodies seemed to be frozen, and their hands and feet could not move. It was not until they were hit on the head by Lin Jiaxue that they seemed to have regained their souls and finally separated. But because they were extremely frightened, their legs and feet became soft as tendons. They just sat on the ground, hugging themselves in panic, allowing Lin Jiaxue to swing the hammer at them randomly, screaming in pain. The onlookers all cried out that they were going to go blind. No wonder Zhao Mingyuan wanted to raise the baby, even though he knew it wasn't his. So that's how it is. I have never seen anything so disgusting in my life.
I have to leave now.
Darn it, you don't want to sleep with such a beautiful wife, but you have to be a troublemaker. What are you thinking? Everyone was talking at once, pointing at the two people in the room without any hesitation. Himanxiang looked at the two people who were beaten so badly and pitifully, and she thought she should feel happy. But when she heard those discussions, she couldn't be happy at all. One is her man in name only, and the other is her man in reality. The two of them couldn't even tell which one of them embarrassed her more. He was clearly reborn, but in the end he still made a mess of his life. Why is this? The facts about Wang Yongsheng and Zhao Mingyuan were so shocking that they spread throughout the entire county in no time. Whenever Lin Jiaxue went out, she would be greeted with all kinds of strange looks, which were even more embarrassing than what happened to her in the past. And the worst thing is that she actually gave birth to a son for such a man. Wu Dahong's wife heard the news. She would come to her house every now and then to mock her. In the end, Lin Jiaxue couldn't bear the humiliation and simply abandoned her son and ran away. No one knew where she went. Some people said that she ran away with someone, while others said that she went to the south to work. But Wang Yongsheng couldn't care less. Ever since his affair with Zhao Mingyuan was discovered, he dared not go out to see people and had been hiding from place to place every day. He didn't even know that his son was abandoned at home and his wife had run away. If the villagers hadn't seen it, the child might have starved to death in the house. The day Zhao Mingyuan was arrested, he went home and hanged himself. Before Lu Jihua could digest the fact that her son liked men, she saw her son hanged to death. Unable to bear the blow, her hair turned white overnight. Who led people to catch the adulterer seemed to be stimulated by something and became a little weird. He was mumbling something, but no one knew what he was saying. It was not until the day before the Chinese New Year that Himanxiang saw Lin Wanshu returning from Pengcheng in the village and rushed forward. Lin Wanshu, why? We were both reborn, and I married the richest man, so why did I still lose to you? This matter has almost become an obsession for her. Himanxiang couldn't figure out where she lost. Lu Saixia saw that she was acting crazy. She couldn't help but frown. Himanxiang, what are you crazy about? But Himanxiang ignored her and just stared at Lin Wanshu with her eyes wide open. Tell me why? Seeing that she was unconscious, Qin Yan and Qin Hua were afraid that she would hurt Lin Wanshu, so one of them was responsible for Lin Wanshu while the other stopped Himanxiang. Lin Wanshu didn't feel scared, so she let Qin Hua take Lu Saixia away first. Qin Hua glanced at Qin Yan and saw him nod. Then he took his wife and left, looking back every few steps. The Qin Hua brothers left, but Qin Yan did not leave Lin Wanshu at all and always protected her closely. Lin Wanshu couldn't help but sigh in her heart as she looked at Himanting, who was extremely thin, had messy hair, and a crazy look on her face. She was not surprised that Himanxiang guessed her rebirth. After a pause, she said, because your initial choice was wrong. Hearing this, Himanting's eyes suddenly widened even more. Her chest heaved up and down, and she gasped for air with ho-ho sounds.
What?
What do you mean? Lin Wanshu looked at her with sympathy. The man you chose is just a vain fool because I earned all that money. Before she could finish her words, He Manxiang couldn't help but scream, interrupting her quickly.
Impossible.
How can you be so powerful? You are lying. Lin Wanshu did not argue with her, but said calmly, whether it is true or not, don't you already have the answer in your heart? Everything I have has always been earned by myself, not by marrying a man. Lin Wanshu was not afraid that she would go out and talk nonsense, because she looked crazy and no one would believe what she said. After saying this, she didn't even look at He Manxiang and turned to Qin Yan and said, let's go home. I'm so hungry. Qin Yan looked into her eyes, gentle yet proud. He had seen her efforts over the years.
His Wanwan was exactly as she said.
Even without him, even without space, she could still make herself live well. Her efforts deserve everything she has. Okay, let's go back. Having said that, the two of them left hand in hand. Looking at the two people who looked like a fairy couple, He Manxiang laughed softly, but tears wet her cheeks. How ridiculous. She thought she had taken the initiative and married Zhao Mingyuan first. But I didn't expect it to turn out to be a joke. The man she robbed was a piece of trash that Lin Wanshu wanted to avoid, but she completely ruined her new life for this disgraceful piece of trash. How could she accept such an outcome? He Manxiang went completely crazy. She wandered around the village every day with messy hair, saying that she was reborn and that she was the wife of the richest man. Then she cursed Zhao Mingyuan, calling him a scum who harmed women. When they were hungry, they would beg for food or steal other people's sweet potatoes from the fields. But her previous affair with a man in the village had already aroused public anger. Basically, I got beaten every time I stole something. After being beaten so many times, He Manxiang hid further and further away, and later no one saw her in the village anymore. Some said she was picked up by an old bachelor. Others said she died outside. 2 children, one 8 years old and the other 3 or 4 years old, were left behind to live with Lu Juhua, who had a hunchback. Lu Juhua didn't want to raise them, but she had lost her son. If she kicked these 2 out, there would be no one to see her off to the end of her life. In the end, she could only raise 2 jerk grandsons who were not related to her by blood while cursing, and had to face the pointing and criticizing of the villagers every day. Wanshu only listened to He Manxiang's affairs and didn't care about it anymore. Under her guidance, Qin Hua earned several million from engineering and stock trading in just a few years. Lu Saixia had never seen so much money before, and her hands and feet couldn't help shaking. After all, in this day and age, even people with an annual income of 10,000 yuan are reported in the newspapers, so you can imagine how scary this income is. However, she remembered clearly what Qin Jinbang had said at the time, and also remembered that the reason why she and Qin Hua made so much money was all thanks to Lin Wanshu. When it came to profit distribution, she had always firmly followed the originally agreed-upon proportions and was unwilling to take even a penny more from Lin Wanshu. Qin Hua was very grateful to see that his wife was so principled. Even though he was making more and more money, he always stuck to his bottom line and didn't do things recklessly like other people. After making money, he set up an internet technology company at the suggestion of Lin Wanshu. With the help of the internet, he became the richest man in the country in the early 21st century. Although he made a lot of money, he never forgot his original intention. Instead of taking the opportunity to make huge bucks in the real estate industry, he invested in technological research and development. Lin Wanshu stopped participating in the company's affairs in the late 1990s and directly transferred all her shares to Qin Hua. The Shuefu Biotechnology Company and Shengchun Pharmaceutical Company, which she founded, were directly transferred from military to state-controlled due to policy reasons. Now both companies are real state-owned enterprises. Thanks to its excellent quality and efficient and advanced operating model, the company still maintains strong competitiveness even after being nationalized. She worked hard to manage a large group in her previous life, so in this life, she is very indifferent to wealth. After the 2 companies became state-controlled, Lin Wanshu completely delegated power to Su Qiuyan and Meng Dun to manage them. At that time, and she had some free time, Apart from occasionally treating patients with difficult and complicated diseases and giving classes, she spends the rest of her time concentrating on accompanying her man. Qin Xiao inherited her talent and made her mark in the medical field when she was only in her 20s. Qin Yiheng, who was unruly when he was a child, was thrown into the army by Qin Yan at an early age, so he went directly to the military camp after graduating from the military academy. Since the two were not at home, they were the only ones left at home. But Qin Yan wished they were not at home. They have been married for more than 20 years and should be an old couple. All the passion they have should be transformed into family affection. Lin Wanshu thought so too. However, it is not known whether it is because they have been drinking spiritual spring water, but even though they are in their 40s or 50s, they still look like they are in their 30s. Not only does she look young, but her physical condition is also as good as that of young people. Without those two annoying people disturbing him, Qin Yan became even more clingy. Lin Wanshu was growing flowers. He built a fish pond next to it to raise fish. Lin Wanshu was writing. He was reading a book beside her. Even when cooking, he would help cut the vegetables and pass the seasonings. It was as if he was afraid of wasting every second with her. Lin Wanshu knew clearly that the regrets and missed opportunities in his previous life had left him with too great a psychological shadow. So much, so that even though they've been together for such a long time, he still lacks a sense of security. Lin Wanshu felt sorry for him who had been silently protecting her in the previous life and was willing to indulge him. As long as her man is at home, she will find ways to make delicious food for him and give him all kinds of surprises. However, no matter how good their relationship was, she never stopped researching drugs. Qin Yan was not at home. She would stay in the laboratory. Thanks to her efforts, at the age of 65, she developed a specific drug for leukemia. Not only is the price affordable, but the effect is immediate. As soon as the paper was published, it caused a sensation around the world. After all, this is leukemia. Although it is not completely incurable, a full course of treatment will cost at least tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands. It's okay for rich people, but if ordinary people get this disease, it can directly drain their family's wealth. It is conceivable how explosive the medicine developed by Lin Wanshu is. Almost as soon as the paper was published, she quickly became an internet celebrity. The internet is flooded with reports about her. Netizens are lining up to worship this big man who can conquer blood cancer. Soon they were no longer satisfied with this simple report, and many people began to dig up more information about her. I don't know who found the photo of her when she was admitted to Peking University. After seeing her stunning appearance, netizens were gobsmacked. Jazina, she can make a living with her looks, but she insists on relying on her ability.
Who understands?
Xiao Mimi. She is beautiful and a top student. I have decided that from today on, she is my goddess. Slippers kill cockroaches in seconds. Woo woo woo. My mom asked me why I was kneeling down to look at my phone. Netizens wanted to continue digging deeper, but found that they could not find any more information. Someone who knew the inside story secretly said that not only was she beautiful and highly educated, but the man she married was a senior general in the army. As for how high his position was, it was beyond their imagination. The message was just sent out and was quickly cleared. But there were still people with sharp eyes who saw it. Suddenly, netizens became more curious about Lin Wanshu's identity. When people heard that she was a professor at Kyoto University, some smart people wanted to secretly ambush her at the school gate. But no one squatted there once from beginning to end. Even a single photo of her in class on the internet. She is very mysterious. Unable to dig out more information, they could only give up with regret. But the legend about her has never disappeared. It is said that she was born in the countryside and she and her husband were childhood sweethearts. They are deeply in love and have always been a model couple in the army. It is said that she has already developed several drugs that have caused a sensation in the industry and are the subject of key national protection. Others say that the well-known Chinese brand Xuefu was founded by her. The more they learned about her, the more fascinated they became. The legend about her on the internet has never disappeared. Have always been talked about by netizens, traveled around the country together after retirement. At the age of 80, they settled down in Yun province. The climate here is warm, making it more suitable for retirement than Beijing. They have space to recuperate. Both of them are still in good health even though they are in their 80s. This place carries too many memories for them, and Lin Wanshu later purchased several properties here. They now live in a 2-story house surrounded by mountains and water. The house is neither big nor small, but it is decorated very warmly. The yard is still full of flowers and plants, and there are cats and dogs. On the first floor and the second floor is reserved for their children who come to visit them occasionally. Neither of them liked to be disturbed, so the nanny and security guard lived in another house next to the house. Apart from cooking and cleaning, they rarely appear on weekdays. Couples stayed together no matter what they did, just like they did every day. It seems like I will never get tired of staying here. Although they lived far away from the downtown area, people still came to visit them every now and then. Most of them are Lin Wanshu students, and there are also many patients who have been cured by her. Actually, quite a few people looking for Qin Yan, but they were all stopped by the guards. Except for a few people who can see him, most of the people who visit him cannot enter this courtyard. In this way, the two stayed together for another 10 years. They have clearly spent their entire lives together, so logically speaking, it should be a happy life. But for some reason, Lin Wanshu was still reluctant to leave. I can't bear to leave the man I've loved all my life. His 99th birthday, his home was filled with friends and grandchildren. Amid the hustle and bustle, Lin Wanshu felt a little tired, so she went back to her room to rest. Outside the window, the peach blossoms are in full bloom. Clusters of flowers hang on the branches, and the pink color everywhere makes people's eyes dizzy. Chi-Chi's frustrated voice was heard in the space. Wan, can't you think of a solution? Hearing this, Lin Wanshu sighed in her heart. I'm sorry, I've already tried, but there's really no way to separate you from the space. It turned out that Chi-Chi had a premonition that Lin Wanshu's life was about to come to an end, so she begged her to be pellet off so that she could return to the four-dimensional world. Originally, Lin Wanshu was willing to let her go because she had helped him for so many years and no longer had the skill to absorb luck. But she didn't know if it was because Chi-Chi had merged too thoroughly with the space. She had no way to separate her out. Finally had no choice but to give up.
I'm sorry, Kiki.
Lin Wanshu panted and spoke with some difficulty. Chi-Chi wanted to cry but had no tears. But what could she do? Forget it. I was going to die anyway, so living a few decades longer is a win. After comforting herself, she retreated into her own space and became depressed. Lin Wanshu closed her eyes and rested for a while. I don't know how long it took, but the side of the bed became dented. In a daze, Lin Wanshu felt a warm and dry hand caressing her eyebrows. Knew who it was without even opening her eyes because of that familiar touch. Sure enough, as soon as I opened my eyes, I was faced with a face that was engraved in my bones. She has been watching it for decades, but why does she just feel like she can't get enough of it? The corners of her lips curved slightly, and she moved inside with difficulty. Then, she spoke slowly. Ian, can you lie down with me for a while? Good. The man spoke. He took off his shoes and lay down next to her. The two of them lay side by side, their hands clasped together at some point. The sound of Lin Wanshu's breathing was heard in the room.
Ian.
I still want to hear you talk about your past life. Although she occasionally dreamed about his past, she felt that she still knew too little about him. After the two of them settled down in Yun province, she liked to pester him and tell him about every detail of her past life whenever she had nothing to do. Hearing her labored voice, Qin Yan's throat tightened, and he subconsciously tightened his grip on her hand a little more. After a pause, his vigorous and powerful voice was heard in the room. There is a wild peach tree on the mountain, in a very remote location. No one knew about it until one day, I saw you appear under the tree. Lin Wanshu listened to his voice. Sometimes it felt like it was in the sky, and sometimes it felt like it was right next to her ear. She wanted to hear more clearly, but her consciousness became more and more blurred. But even so, she still struggled to understand what he said. Occasionally give a vague response or two. Qin Yan's eyes turned red as he listened to her increasingly weak voice. But he still suppressed his discomfort and continued to talk about the past that she liked to hear. I don't know when, until she no longer responded, Qin Yan's heart seemed to stop beating. After a long while, he held her body, which had no pulse or heartbeat, in his arms with trembling hands. Wan, wait for me. Underground, how could he bear to leave her alone? In the yard, Qin Jiao was a little worried when she saw that Lin Wanshu hadn't come out for a long time, so she planned to go and check on her. When she reached the door, she raised her hand and knocked. Mom, how are you? The room was silent, no response. Qin Xiao's heart skipped a beat, and she felt inexplicably nervous. The knock on the door became a little stronger. Mom, are you in there? Can I open the door? After saying that, she didn't delay any longer and turned the door handle directly. The moment the door opened, Qin Xiao's pupils shrank.
Dad. Mom.
The sound immediately attracted other guests in the yard. Looking at the two people hugging each other tightly on the bed, everyone was stunned. By the time they realized what was happening, everyone present had tears in their eyes.
Chief.
Academician Lin. Grandma. Suddenly, the whole room was filled with sobbing. And in a corner where no one was paying attention, a strange light flashed. Then it transformed into a transparent, almost invisible light, circling around the two people on the bed before disappearing. Su Qiuyan has been extremely busy since she became the manager of the pharmaceutical factory. Her time in the factory on weekdays and only returns to the staff quarters at night. Sometimes when I get busy, I even live in the dormitory. Lu Jingsong was extremely depressed, but he didn't dare to complain at all. I can only find a wife whenever I can. If she didn't go home, he would just go and live with her in the dormitory. Fortunately, Su Qiuyan is now the manager and has allocated a separate dormitory with good sound insulation. Otherwise, she felt ashamed to face anyone. Su Qiuyan suspected that he did it on purpose. Every time he moved into the dormitory, he would torment her. He had great physical strength and endurance, and she was no match for him. Every time I could only cry and beg for mercy. Many fruitless protests, she finally tried her best to go back to the family compound and not live in the dormitory. The two of them lived shamelessly for a few years. Lu Jingsong went to the battlefield. Learned that he was going to the battlefield. Her mind was buzzing. My hands and feet are ice cold. Looking at the man in front of her, her vision was blurred. She couldn't tell him not to go to the battlefield because she knew that as a soldier, it was his duty to defend his country. But knowing this doesn't mean she isn't afraid or worried. Su Qiuyan held back the tears in her eyes and nodded at him. I see. I'll get you whatever you need to prepare. As she said this, she stood up. But before she took 2 steps, she found that her legs and feet were already weak and could not support her body at all. Before she fell, a pair of strong arms grabbed her waist and held her in his arms. Wife, don't cry. The man stroked her cheek with his caring hand, and Su Qiuyan realized that she had already been in tears. But she still bit her lips tightly to prevent herself from crying out loud.
Well, I
won't cry. She spoke. She clutched the shirt on his chest tightly with both hands. But the tears were like a faucet. They couldn't be stopped. Lu Jingsong was heartbroken, but he couldn't say anything to comfort her. He couldn't give her any assurances. Bullets have no eyes, and no one can guarantee that they can survive the battlefield unscathed. Not to mention being safe and sound, he didn't even know if he could come back alive. After they hugged each other for a while, Su Qiuyan pushed him away, gritted her teeth, supported herself, and walked to the cabinet. After taking out a box from inside, she took out the medicines one by one. This is hemostatic powder. This is a bandage. This is anti-inflammatory medicine. This is medicine for traumatic injuries. Su Qiuyan tried hard to make her voice steady. But in the end it was still broken into pieces. Seeing her pretending to be calm while filling herself with medicine, Lu Jingsong couldn't help but hug her in his arms again. Wife, don't be busy. I will go to the assembly soon. Let me hug you again. Hearing this, the medicine in Su Qiuyan's hand fell to the ground with a clang. He going to gather soon?
Does it mean that he will go to the battlefield soon?
Lu Jingsong hugged her weak body. He was so heartbroken that he could hardly breathe.
Has to say what needs to be said.
He gritted his teeth and forced himself to speak.
If.
I mean if, in the unlikely event that I can't come back, you're still young, don't stay with me. This simple sentence exhausted all of Lu Jingsong's strength. After he said this, his eyes turned frighteningly red, and his hands tightened again and again, as if he wanted to rub her into his bones and blood. After hearing this, Su Qiuyan's tears, which had been flowing down, stopped instantly. Looking up, she looked at him in disbelief. Is this what you really mean? Lu Jingsong didn't dare to meet her eyes. He gritted his teeth and spoke quickly.
Well,
if I can't come back, you can find a good man to marry. As soon as he finished speaking, he was violently pushed away by Su Qiuyan. The woman who was crying loudly just now had a frighteningly cold expression on her face.
I know. You don't have to tell me.
I will definitely find another one. I will cook for him, wash his clothes, and warm his quilt. Su Qiuyan. Before she could finish her words, she was interrupted by the man angrily. Do you want to annoy me off to death? Lu Jingsong glared at her viciously, as if he wanted to swallow her alive. Su Qiuyan was not afraid at all. Not only that, she looked at him straight. Didn't you say so? Let me find another one. Just go ahead and don't worry. I will. Go find me another one. You are my woman. Even if I die, I will haunt you as a ghost. Lu Jingsong didn't give her another chance to speak. He hugged her in his arms and fiercely covered her irritating red lips. The passionate kiss seemed to swallow her up, and Su Qiuyan soon burst into tears again. Ace. Lu Jingsong, you are an ace. Why do you have the right to make decisions for me? Have you asked for my opinion? As she spoke, she pounded his chest. The sound of breaking made Lu Jingsong's heart break. The originally fierce kiss became incredibly gentle. Kissing away the tears on her face bit by bit, he helplessly coaxed her. I'm sorry. Wife, I'm sorry. Please don't cry. I'm just crying. It's none of your business. Having said that, she turned around angrily. Lu Jingsong felt like he was being tormented to death by her, but he was content to accept it. Wife, if possible, I want to spend my whole life with you. When we are old, we can travel all over the beautiful land of our motherland together. But I can't promise you whether I can come back or not. I am afraid that if I leave, you will be lonely. God knows how much of a blow her words just now caused him. Just thinking about the scene she described made him feel heartbroken. She is his. How could he bear to have another man take his place? Su Qiuyan leaned on his chest, listening to his strong heartbeat for a long time before she spoke. No matter what, I will only get married once in my life. If you don't want me to be alone, then come back safely. Short period of time, Lu Jingsong felt like he was on a roller coaster, with his heart going up and down. Listening to her firm voice, he was filled with joy, but also with reluctance. Just her words are enough. Soon, Lu Jingsong went to the battlefield, but before going to the battlefield, everyone had to leave a suicide note. If he does not return, the letter will be handed over to his family, who bid farewell to Lu Jingsong, did not shed a tear, but calmly directed the production. Especially various medicines for injuries, the quality and quantity must be guaranteed, and the soldiers on the battlefield must have access to the best medicines and have them available at any time. In fact, she didn't need to say anything. The military wives also put in their best efforts and gritted their teeth to produce medicine. After all, their men are all on the battlefield. As time went by, news of casualties continued to come in. The atmosphere in the family compound is becoming more tense day by day. Whenever they heard a list of casualties, they tried their best to find out, afraid of seeing her man on the list. But they were not their men. While they were relieved, they felt sorry for the soldiers who died. Every day is like torture for the military wives who are not far from the battlefield. It was not until the war finally ended and Su Qiuyan heard that the man was not dead but was just injured and admitted to the hospital that her tense nerves finally relaxed. The moment she saw the person, she fainted. After waking up, the joy of regaining what she had lost made the originally reserved Su Qiuyan become extremely enthusiastic. When it comes to taking care of men, she is even more attentive, almost holding them in the palm of her hand. Being pampered by his wife like this, Lu Jingsong felt as if he was floating. I am so happy that I wake up smiling even in my dreams. University. He Wenju was directly assigned to Western Province to engage in rocket research. Qiu Yong, who had just won a battle, became anxious when he saw that his wife not only did not come back, but was getting further and further away from him. My wife is busy with research and is still in Western Province, and I am also very busy in the army. For him to see her in the future, who had finally waited until his wife graduated, was extremely worried. But he couldn't complain. After all, his wife was going to study rockets. This is a great thing to contribute to the country. In the end, he had no choice but to take his 3 children to the Western Province to find her during his vacation. After running back and forth for 2 years, his promotion and transfer order finally came down. I don't know if it's because the organization sympathized with the couple and separated them into 2 places. He was transferred directly to Western Province, which was not far from He Wenju's research base. Qiu Yong almost cried with excitement. After so many years, he can finally live with his wife again. Who can understand this feeling? After being separated for a long time, he can now understand the feelings of those military wives who are left behind. After finally being able to live with his wife again, he still disregarded the dignity of a deputy division commander. He is completely obedient to his wife. Nonsense. With such a powerful wife, how could he not give in to her? He Wenju knew that her man had no sense of security, so as long as she was free, she would devote all her time to him. But she is really too busy. Sometimes the task is tight, and it is normal for her to stay in the institute for a month or 2 and not be able to go home. She couldn't help feeling a little guilty about being so busy. I feel like I have no way of giving him a normal marriage. Another half-year of intense work. When He Wenju came out of the office, she felt the sunlight outside was a bit dazzling. She returned home exhausted and fell into a deep sleep as soon as she lay down. She finally woke up and opened her eyes. She met the man's worried and distressed eyes. How long have I slept? He Wenju's voice was a little hoarse. Qiu Yong looked at his wife who had lost weight, his eyes filled with heartache. You've slept for 2 days and 1 night. You must be hungry, right?
Get up and eat something.
I'll have someone cook you some meat porridge. He Wenju did not refuse. She got up to go to the toilet, washed up, and then sat at the dining table to drink porridge. Qiu Tingting and the twins all went to school. Because the couple are too busy, the 3 children all live in school. Qiu Tingting is now 18 years old and is about to take the college entrance examination. Pingping, who is only 10 years old, is also about to take the college entrance examination with her. And doesn't have such a high IQ, so he goes to school according to the routine. I am currently in the 4th grade of elementary school. There are no children in the family, just the couple. He Wenju was drinking porridge, while Qiu Yong was sitting opposite her watching her. Wife, how long will you rest this time? After she finished her bowl of porridge, Qiu Yong poured her another bowl and then asked. He Wenju slept for such a long time, but she actually got up to go to the toilet and eat something. But she ate little, and now she is very hungry. Just as she was about to continue eating, she paused when she heard this, and a hint of guilt appeared on her face. It's only a week. I have to go back to the institute soon. Although he was mentally prepared, Qiu Yong still couldn't help feeling a little disappointed. In a week's vacation, she slept for 2 days, leaving 5 days left. With only 5 days left, he still had to take care of military affairs, leaving them with very little time to spend together. He Wenju saw his disappointment and felt a little uncomfortable. But it is absolutely impossible to ask her to give up her rocket research work. The country's current national strength is too weak. Without powerful weapons to back them up, all that awaits them is a beating. It is enough to learn this lesson once. She didn't want to see China being bullied by other countries because of its backwardness. Looking at the silent man, she thought for a moment and then said, I'm sorry, I'm too busy with work and can't accompany you. Qiu Yong was thinking in his heart whether he should be shameless enough to ask Lin Wanshu for a prescription to give her some nourishment. Hearing this, He looked up at her in confusion. Wife, what are you talking about? It wasn't the first day. He knew she was so busy at work. He Wenju pursed her lips, somewhat afraid to meet his eyes. After a pause, he said, "You know, my work will be very busy now and in the foreseeable future. I can't take care of your daily life like other wives do." Hearing this, Chiu Yong inexplicably had a bad feeling. "I'm fine. Why do I need you to take care of me?"
Why are you talking about this?
He Wenju lowered her eyes, took a deep breath, and then said, "Besides not being able to take care of you, I also don't have time to accompany you. Everyone in the family compound feels sorry for you. I thought about it and decided that we should just get divorced, and you can find another one." Chiu Yong didn't expect that what she was going to say was this. Suddenly, his face turned as black as the bottom of a pot. "Tell me, who is gossiping in your ears? I'm going to go find her man and argue with him. Is really outrageous." He finally managed to live with his wife, but someone came to sow discord between them. He Wenju, no one is gossiping about me. These are my own thoughts. Hearing this, Chiu Yong was so angry that he laughed. He Wenju, have you forgotten what you promised me? Hearing this, He Wenju's heart skipped a beat, and the hand holding the spoon tightened unconsciously. She opened her lips, wanting to say something, but didn't know how to start. Chiu Yong's face was somewhat gloomy, and his voice came out directly from between his teeth. "You promised me that as long as I don't change, you will be my wife for life. It's only been a few years, and you changed your mind so quickly?" Looking at his dark eyes that seemed to suck him in, He Wenju felt a little helpless. I've never been married, so I don't know how to run a marriage, but I see other men have hot meals and hot dishes when they come home, but I can't give you anything. This is unfair to you." Chiu Yong looked at the woman with red eyes and couldn't help but let out a long sigh. Walking to her side, he raised his hand to wipe away the tears from the corners of her eyes. "Silly wife, you are not me. How do you know that I don't like this kind of life?" Hearing this, He Wenju was stunned. "Aren't you feeling unbalanced? After all, everyone else has a wife at home to accompany them." Looking at her guilty and uneasy little face, Chiu Yong couldn't help but sigh again. "What are you thinking about in your little head? I have such a great wife that I wake up laughing in my dreams. They are just jealous of me and can't bear to see me marry a wife from Shuemu University, so they say such things. I am willing to wait for you, not to mention half a year, even 1 or 2 years, 2 or 3 years. You are the one who makes great contributions to the country. Without you, our national defense cannot be strong. Don't say such things anymore. I don't like to hear them. As a soldier, he wants the country to be strong more than anyone else. But he doesn't have that kind of power. He can only do his job well and guard the country's borders. And his wife not only has this ability, but also has such lofty ideals. He was so happy that he didn't have time to complain that she didn't have time to accompany him. There's loneliness for sure, but when you think of those soldiers who died on the battlefield, what does this loneliness matter?" After hearing what he said, He Wenju couldn't hold back any longer and threw herself into his arms, her voice choked with sobs. "I take everything you said seriously." She didn't expect that she was so lucky to meet a man who shared the same ideals as her. Old saying goes, money is easy to get, but a true friend is hard to find. Alone were enough to make her fall in love with him and spend the rest of her life with him. "Yes,"
I said.
"Don't listen to their gossip anymore. Let's live a good life." He Wenju smiled, and her smile was very happy.
"Yes."
"All up to you." When Yu Fangfang was first transferred to Western Province, she was dumbfounded. At first glance, all you see is desolate yellow, without even a hint of green. When the wind blew, it blew up yellow sand all over the sky, filling her mouth and nose with sand. Was a delicate girl to begin with, and she couldn't help but blush. How could there be such a terrible place? Is this really suitable for human beings? Feng Yandong knew that conditions in the northwest were difficult, and he was mentally prepared, but he didn't expect the conditions here to be so harsh. Yu Fangfang with red eyes, he couldn't help feeling regretful. If I had known this would happen, I would have kept her in Beijing. As soon as Yu Fangfang saw his expression, she knew what he was thinking. Suddenly, The tears that were about to fall were held back by her. I'm telling you, don't underestimate me. Even though there's not a blade of grass here, I'm sure I can accomplish something big. Her nose and eyes were red, and even her voice was nasal, but she puffed out her chest, hugged the basket in her arms, and spoke proudly. Feng Yandong wanted to say that he didn't need her to do anything big, as long as she could live a comfortable life. But after meeting her sparkling eyes, he swallowed the words back.
Good.
If she really can't stay there any longer, he'll send her back to Beijing. In this way, the family of three began their life in Western Province. Originally been ambitious to make a career, soon couldn't help crying. There is no other reason, it's just that the water here is so unpalatable, it's actually bitter. But even such water is still as precious as oil here. The Western Province is dry all year round with little precipitation. Every household dug a water cellar and collected rainwater when it rained for daily use. Sometimes there is chicken and duck droppings in places where rainwater passes, and they also flow into the water cellar. After sedimentation, they can be used as usual. Feng Yandong felt so distressed when he saw how thin she had become. Finally, he heard that there was non-bitter water 20 miles away, so he went to exchange some with his fellow villagers and brought some back for her to drink. With the water that Feng Yandong exchanged for her, Yu Fangfang finally managed to adapt to life in the northwest. Soon, she brought home 2 hens and started her chicken-raising plan. Feng Yandong is the regiment commander. She doesn't need to report to anyone how many chickens she wants to raise, and no one dares to cause trouble in the army. When the military wives heard that she had brought dozens of eggs all the way from Yunnan province to hatch chicks, they were all very puzzled. Sister-in-law, we have chickens here too. Why do you have to go through so much trouble to bring them from such a far place? That was a basket of eggs. There were so many people on the road, and it was bumpy. It would take several days and nights just by car. I dare not imagine how she brought it all over. Yu Fangfang wanted to say that this was not an ordinary egg, but a fighting chicken among chickens. But she was afraid that she would fail to hatch the egg and become a laughingstock, so she swallowed her words of praise and said vaguely, "You will know when the time comes." The military wives had no idea what she was trying to say, so they just talked about it for a few minutes and then paid no more attention. But after half a year, the whole army was shocked when they saw that the chickens she hatched were very fertile and each one could lay at least 2 eggs every day. Feng Yandong didn't expect that his pampered wife could actually successfully hatch 2 nests of chicks and raise them to grow up and lay eggs.
He was also shocked.
Yu Fangfang put her hands on her hips and looked at him proudly. I told you I would do something great. Do you believe me now? Feng Yan looked at her as if she was asking for praise, his eyes flickering with emotion.
Well,
you are very capable. He, who has always been frugal with words, was generous in giving her praise. Being praised. I must write to tell Wanwan that I have made her chicken breed flourish. She is so quick to respond. One moment she was asking for praise, and the next moment she couldn't wait to write a letter to Lin Wanshu, etc. Feng Yandong quickly reached out and held her. What's wrong? Yu Fangfang obviously couldn't wait any longer. Is there anything else? Hurry up and say it. She will go to write the letter. Feng Yandong raised his hand helplessly and plucked the chicken feathers off her head. Yu Fangfang. She just talking to him like this with this chicken feather on her head? It's really embarrassing for her image. But then she changed her mind and realized that she had no image in front of him at all, so she felt relieved. Is there anything else? If not, I'll leave. After saying that, Yu Fangfang turned around and left happily. Feng Yandong. It turned out to be the right decision to separate her from Comrade Kobayashi. He suspected that if the two of them stayed any longer, he would have nothing to do. Yu Fangfang happily shared her achievements with Lin Wanshu. She ambitiously opened a chicken farm. Since Lin Wanshu already had ready-made experience, she could just use it directly. Yu Fangfang's high egg production has spread throughout the military region. The commander was very supportive of her plan to open a chicken farm. If you need people, give them. If you need money, give them money. Be sure to let her breed more of these laying hens. With the support from above, Yu Fangfang's chicken farm developed very smoothly. Soon, their group was the first to achieve egg and chicken freedom. Both the soldiers and their families were grateful to Fong Fong for being able to eat eggs to their heart's content. Her superiors even held a special commendation meeting for her to praise her outstanding contributions to the army. Although Yu Fong Fong was already in charge of a large chicken farm at that time, she still had the temper of a child. Receiving the award, she couldn't wait to get in front of Feng Yandong. "Look, this is the medal I got, as well as the towel and enamel cup." She looked like a child seeking praise, and you couldn't tell that she was already 30 years old. But Feng Yandong did not think she was childish. Instead, he praised her seriously. "Yeah, you're awesome. Yu Fong Fong. Can't you say something nicer?" Virtue. Knowing that her man would not be able to get much praise from her, she took her medal and went to find another military wife. Was happily chatting with the military wives and didn't notice the darkening gaze of the man behind her. At night, Yu Fong Fong was still immersed in the joy of being commended, completely unaware that danger was approaching. Held the medal and looked at it again and again, and suddenly, she was embraced in a warm embrace. "What are you doing?" What responded to her was a man's ambiguous voice. "Don't you want to hear something nice?" Upon hearing this, Yu Fong Fong suddenly stepped back like a frightened little rabbit and slid to her knees in a second. I was wrong. She doesn't want to listen to those shameless words. But it was too late. The man, who looked cool on the outside but was actually sultry on the inside, soon made Yu Fong Fong so embarrassed that her face almost bled. Qin Jiao has admired Brother Shen Ci since she was a child. She thinks he is very capable and can do everything. Because they all live in the same housing estate, they play together every day. But later, after she entered junior high school, suddenly one day, he ignored her for no apparent reason. Qin Jiao didn't understand why he didn't play with her anymore. As a young girl, she has a strong sense of self-esteem and is extremely sensitive. Although she felt aggrieved, she couldn't bring herself to ask him why. In a final fit of anger, she simply ignored him. Sometimes when she met him in the staff quarters, she pretended not to see him. The two became strangers until Qin Jiao graduated from junior high school and Shin Shuwen was transferred out of Yunnan province, and they completely lost contact. In 1992, Qin Jiao, who was already 19 years old, rejected her mother's offer to send her to college and came to Ning City alone to attend university. Although she had never been to this city, she had always been independent and had no difficulty adapting. After arriving at school, the first thing is military training. Qin Jiao was very calm about this. Even though Qin Yan loves her very much on weekdays, he is very serious when it comes to training himself. Various physical training and confrontational training, she successfully developed good skills. Can knock down a big man easily. This is also why her father agreed to let her go to college alone. On the day of military training, early in the morning, Qin Jiao heard the call to assemble and sat up from the bed reflexively. She quickly changed into the military uniform issued by the school, folded her quilt, and went to the public bathroom to wash up. After she finished washing up, people in the dormitory were still slowly getting dressed. "Jiao, why are you so fast?" Li Qiong rubbed her eyes and asked. Qin Jiao arrived 2 days in advance and was already very familiar with the people in the dormitory. "I'm used to it." "You better hurry up, or you'll get scolded for being late. Being scolded is the least of your worries. If you are not careful, you may even be punished." Hearing this, Li Qiong's sleepiness was almost scared away. "It's not that serious, right? I don't know, but it's better to hurry up. I'll go to the gathering first." Having said that, she went out. When the others heard this, they dared not delay any longer. They quickly folded their quilts, washed up, and rushed to the assembly point. Qin Jiao arrived. There weren't many people there. After finding the counselor, she joined her class. At this moment, there is an instructor standing in front of each class. Qin Jiao ran in a hurry just now and didn't even notice whether the instructor was round or flat. "I just caught a glimpse of a tall and slender figure out of the corner of my eye." After finding the girls' row, she stood directly there. But just as she stood firm, a cold yet majestic voice came from the front of the team. Stand here. Hearing the voice, Qin Jiao widened her eyes and looked up in disbelief. The next second, a strange yet familiar handsome face came into view. It's Shen Ci. Qin Jiao didn't expect that he would be here and become her instructor. She couldn't come back to her senses for a long time. Isn't he in the central military region? When was he transferred here? Although Qin Jiao and Shen Ci have not been in contact for many years, Shen Yu is a chatterbox, and he has never stopped writing to her over the years. Not only did he write letters, he sometimes also called her. As they talked more, they naturally had to mention Shen Ci. But Qin Jiao didn't like to listen. Usually, she would change the subject after he finished talking for a few words. To see someone she hadn't seen for several years standing in front of her. Perhaps because she didn't react, the man frowned slightly. Before he could speak, Qin Jiao quickly withdrew her gaze and stood at the position he designated with an expressionless face. That is the first person in the first row. The female student who was originally standing in the first seat quickly moved to the side. But as she moved, she couldn't help but secretly glance at the instructor. After taking a look, my heart couldn't help but beat wildly. So handsome. How can there be such a handsome man? Lu Zengru felt that one glance was not enough, so she raised her eyes and wanted to take another peek. But this one glance made her shudder all over.
Such a cold look.
Not only was it cold, but it was also mixed with an indescribable boredom. Lu Zengru was so frightened that she quickly looked away. How could she dare to look around anymore? Qin Jiao was unaware of Lu Zengru's little trick. She was standing in the line, watching her nose and her heart, without even glancing over there out of the corner of her eyes. It was as if the person standing in front of the team was not the brother who had accompanied her throughout her childhood, but a complete stranger. I don't know how long it took, but the others returned to the team one after another. Shen Ci's face didn't look very good. Li Qiong had time to sigh at their good luck for being assigned such a handsome instructor. She felt her skin tighten. I have a very ominous feeling in my heart. The male students were standing at the back and didn't notice Shen Ci's expression. Everyone couldn't help but steal a glance at Qin Jiao out of the corner of their eyes. The glimpse just now made these boys who had just entered the university campus extremely excited. What a beautiful female classmate. She is prettier than any female star on TV. Such a pretty girl. Will she be their classmate in the future? Just thinking about it makes me feel so happy that I almost faint. As I was stealing a peek, I heard a cold voice. Your assembly time is 10 minutes and 5 seconds. Shen Ci looked at the stopwatch and glanced at the team calmly. Now, even the most dull-witted person could sense the danger. Not daring to look around anymore, they all straightened up immediately, not daring to breathe. But it's too late. Following time, the whole class was trained to death. The instructor made them lift their feet for 5 minutes without letting them put them down. Although half of the students are from rural areas, their physical fitness is also good. But they still found it a bit difficult to stand still with their feet raised. Within 5 minutes, some people began to stagger. Lu Zengru's feet had fallen to the ground twice. She felt as if her legs were filled with lead, heavy and heavy. She was almost crying from the training, and she didn't know how many times she had cursed the instructor in her heart. How could she still have the infatuation she had at the beginning? This Chun Chun is a straight man who has no idea how to be gentle with women. What's the use of being handsome? Among the crumbling figures, one person stood out. That is Qin Jiao, standing in the first row. She stood straight and steady as a rock, and her foot-lifting movements were as standard as in a textbook. If you don't know, you might think she was a soldier. Such training is indeed a piece of cake for Qin Jiao. Apart from being a little hot from the sun, she felt relaxed. Following training, she was still very methodical and no one could find any fault with her. In other words, she didn't give Shen Ci any chance to find fault with her at all. After finally making it to the end of the training, the students collapsed on the ground. Qin Jiao also found a place to sit down and rest. As soon as I sat down, a somewhat shy voice came from the side. Heko, classmate, what's your name? Qin Jiao turned her head and saw a tall man who looked somewhat honest and simple, with red ears. It was obvious that he mustered up the courage to come and talk to her. Heko, my name is Qin Jiao. Qin Jiao smiled and nodded at him. In an instant, the tall man looked like a shrimp thrown into boiling water, his entire face and neck turned red. What to do with his hands and feet? Seeing how friendly she was, the male classmates next to her came up to greet her one by one. Qin Jiao thought that they were all in the same class and would get to know each other in the future, so she smiled and nodded at them one by one.
Knew half of the people in the class.
Classmate Qin Jiao, let's go to the cafeteria to eat together later. Those who are brave enough will invite directly. Reform and opening up have been going on for more than 10 years, and the social atmosphere has also changed from conservative to open. Young people are particularly influenced by Western trends and are extremely bold. If you like a girl, just chase her. Qin Jiao naturally would not accept such an invitation, so as not to give others the wrong signal. But before she could open her mouth to refuse, she saw Shen Xiai turned around and left. Looking at his indifferent back, she felt inexplicably upset. Especially when she thought about having to face his cold face for the next 21 days, she felt even more depressed. If she had known that he was in this military district, she would not have applied to this university. Student Jiao? Xiao Yan looked at her expectantly. Qin Jiao retracted her gaze and refused with a faint smile. No, I have an appointment with Li Qiong's classmate. Li Qiong's eyes were still following the instructor in the distance. When he heard Qin Jiao mention his name, he nodded randomly, without caring what she said. Xiao Yan could only leave disappointed. Seeing that he had hit a wall, how could the others dare to step forward and cause trouble? So handsome. Even the way he walks looks so good. It would be nice if it wasn't so cold. Not until the instructor's figure disappeared did Li Qiong bear to look away, and said to Qin Jiao, with a look of regret. Qin Jiao didn't want to hear anything about that person, so she changed the subject and said, being handsome can't be eaten. Let's go to the cafeteria first, otherwise we will be late and there will be no food. Soon as she heard about food, Li Qiong forgot about teaching the instructor. Yes, let's go eat first.
I'm starving.
The world is big, but eating is the most important thing. After saying that, she pulled Qin Jiao and ran away. Let's run faster. I have to grab my beloved braised pork today. Has been here for 2 days and has not been able to get any braised pork. She keeps thinking about this dish even in her dreams. You can imagine how much resentment she feels. Qin Jiao never thought that what she said was true. She was caught off guard and was dragged towards the cafeteria. On the other side, in the dormitory area specially designated for instructors' temporary residence, Gu Qifei looked at Shen Xiai with a depressed look on his face. What are you thinking? Why are you thinking of coming here to train these little brats? Only one morning of scolding, he felt like cursing. Half of the students in the class are girls, so I can't be too harsh or too lenient, and I can't train them like I train new recruits. If I'm really angry, I'll just kick him. A whole morning of training, Gu Qifei felt extremely frustrated. Shen Xiai didn't say anything, just stood by the window, staring out without moving. Gu Qifei felt a little strange and moved closer. What are you looking at? Looking in the direction of his sight, there was nothing but a group of camouflaged figures.
What's so good about this?
Just one look at these little kids made him feel like he had a heart attack, and he wished he could finish this mission as soon as possible, so he could return to the army. Shen Xiai still didn't speak or move. Gu Qifei hissed and looked him up and down. Old Shen, you have a problem. Although he usually doesn't talk much, he would never completely ignore people like he does now. As soon as these words fell, Shen Xiai finally reacted. His eyes fell on him, and he said in a somewhat cold voice, "When did you learn to gossip from others?" Hearing this, Gu Qifei said with a wronged look on his face, "Isn't this just because I care about my good brother?" He said he was concerned about his brother, but curiosity and excitement were clearly flashing in his eyes. Have you finally come to your senses and regret rejecting that pretty girl from the art troupe? She's so pretty, lively, and loves to laugh. As a result, she was rejected by him, and her eyes were swollen from crying. They felt so distressed when they saw it. Go after her if you like. Shen Xi's voice was calm, and from his expression, he might not even know whether the girl from the art troupe was round or flat. Gu Qifei was finally convinced. Honestly, what kind of girl do you like? So many girls have confessed their love to you over the years, but you haven't been attracted to any of them? If it were him, he would have been taken down long ago. But my own brother is like a lump of iron who doesn't understand romance. Has so many girls who have been rejected by him that they can circle around the entire city of Beijing. Shen Xi fell silent again and looked out the window again. What else can Gu Qifei say? I could only sigh, sit back on the stool board, and count on my fingers how many days it would take to finish this darn military training. Following time, Qin Jiao continued to conduct military training seriously every day, completely ignoring the popular Shen Xi in the school. When she was free, she would go to the phone booth to call her mother and chat. Occasionally, she would receive calls from Shen Yu and Feng Jianxi. Both of them have graduated from university and are now working in Beijing. Regarding her applying to Ning City instead of Jing City, the two people who had always been at odds with each other rarely agreed on the issue and took turns to scold her. Qin Jiao couldn't help but beg for mercy because of the nagging. Okay, I promise to go to Beijing to see you during the winter vacation, okay? Rubbing her forehead, she spoke to the person on the other end of the phone with a headache. Already available in 1992. Qin Jiao's family was well off, so she got one almost as soon as it came out. But with a mobile phone, there are more calls. A few phone calls in a week. She had no choice but to agree to go to Beijing during the winter vacation. A cheerful voice came from the other end of the phone. Then it settled. If you dare to stand me up, don't blame me for going to Ning City to beat you up. Hearing this, Qin Jiao became furious. You dare? I'll tell Uncle Shen to treat you to fried pork with belt. Hiss! You little meow meow. Why are you so cruel? At least I protected you like this when you were little. Shen Yu shouted in dissatisfaction. When Qin Jiao thought of his jumping appearance, she couldn't help but cover her mouth and laugh. The two were arguing like they did when they were kids, but they never expected that when they raised their eyes, they would meet a pair of dark eyes. Qin Jiao. Hey meow meow, why aren't you talking? Shen Yu didn't wait for a response for a long time, so he called Heko several times. It's okay. It's a little late. I need to rest. I won't talk to you for now. Qin Jiao retracted her gaze and spoke to the other end of the phone. Okay then, I'll call you in a few days. Shen Yu's somewhat lost voice came. Qin Jiao said goodbye to him and hung up the phone. Under the tree, the slender figure was still standing quietly. People coming and going couldn't help but cast glances at him with admiration or amazement. But Qin Jiao seemed to still not see this person. She lowered her eyes and walked past him. In the moment when they passed each other, where no one noticed, the man's hand hanging at his side curled up. But Qin Jiao, who walked past him, was not as calm as she looked. How could I not be sad? It was obvious that he doted on her so much when she was a child that he almost picked the stars in the sky for her. But the person who loved me so much suddenly changed one day. Qin Jiao didn't know what she had done wrong and why he treated her like this. In order to see him, she even begged Shen Yu to take her to the school to find him, but in return he became more and more distant. Since then, Qin Jiao no longer paid attention to him and did not ask him anything. Since this is what he wants, she should just pretend that she has never met this person. But she was obviously about to forget everything about him, so why did he appear in front of her again? And still looking at her like that. Qin Jiao hated this feeling. Pursing her lips, she quickened her pace and left. The following military training was still no different from the past week. But Qin Jiao's beauty caused quite a stir in the school. Every day there are all kinds of people coming to talk to her. There are students of the same grade, as well as students of higher grades. And among all these people, one in particular stood out. That is the campus hunk of Ning City Medical University. This hunk is not only handsome, but also a well-known talent. I heard that his score was enough to get him into Beijing University, but I don't know why he chose the medical university in Ning City. Student Qin, I have a question can I discuss with you? Afternoon military training had just ended, and as expected, Qin Jiao ran into Su Qingrang again. He is a well-known celebrity in this school. He always went to her to discuss medical issues. Apart from academic discussions, he always observed etiquette and did not behave inappropriately. He was completely different from the other male classmates, Meng Lang confessed to. Qin Jiao has been studying at Peking University Medical School since she was a child. After elementary school, she learned how to diagnose and prescribe medicine from her mother every day. It can be said that although she is a freshman, her experience is comparable to that of doctors who have been practicing for many years. Su Qingreng didn't know how he found out that her mother was Lin Wanshu, so he came to her every day to discuss medicine. Since the other party's reason was so legitimate, Qin Jiao naturally couldn't refuse.
Okay.
After being exposed to the sun for an entire afternoon, Qin Jiao felt like she was smoking all over. She was so hot that she gulped down a few gulps of water before replying. Su Qingreng kindly invited her to sit on the bench under the tree, and then asked her about a problem he encountered. The others looked at the handsome couple, and their eyes couldn't help but sparkle with gossip. Woo woo woo, what a perfect match. That's right. I couldn't imagine before what kind of girl would be worthy of such an outstanding man like Zhang Zuqingreng. Now that I see Qin Jiao, I know what a match made in heaven is. If they're not together, I will not agree. The girls' eyes sparkled with pink, and they looked very excited about the couple. The boys all looked depressed and lost. If Su Qingreng was also interested in Qin Jiao, they would have no chance of winning. Li Qiong was also yelling along with a few of her roommates. It really feels like watching TV. They are such a perfect match, aren't they? But just after she said this, she inexplicably felt that the air seemed to have suddenly dropped several degrees. Rubbing his arms with both hands, Li Qiong began to doubt his life. What's going on? It was only September, so why did she feel a little cold? On the other side, after Su Qingreng finished chatting with Qin Jiao, his eyes lit up surprisingly. Mr. Qin's professionalism is really admirable. I am very grateful that you can help me solve my doubts. May I have the honor of treating you to a meal? I know a restaurant with delicious food. There was undisguised admiration and amazement in Su Qingreng's eyes. It was obvious that his praise for her was not just out of courtesy. Of course, it was impossible for Qin Jiao to go to dinner with him. After all, she was already in college, and she couldn't be so naive as to think that he really treated her to a meal out of pure gratitude. I was about to refuse. I felt a pair of eyes that I couldn't ignore, looking straight at me. She knew who it was without turning her head. Was on the tip of her tongue, was swallowed down somehow.
Okay.
She nodded. The next second, that gaze was like a sharp sword, as if it was going to pierce her. Su Qingreng didn't expect that she really agreed. A hint of surprise flashed across his gentle and handsome face, and he made a gesture of invitation to her. Thank you, Mr. Qin, for your presence. Qin Jiao didn't turn around, but picked up her kettle, said heko to Li Qiong, and followed Su Qingreng. Cheer came from behind, as if Su Qingreng was about to win the beauty. Su Qingreng was talking about was naturally outside the school. It is only 200 meters away from the school, so the location is not too remote, and there are quite a lot of people there. Qin Jiao felt relieved when she saw this. But I couldn't help feeling a little regretful in my heart that I shouldn't have agreed to have dinner with him just out of spite. Although Su Qingreng is good-looking and very professional, Qin Jiao has been surrounded by various outstanding boys since she was a child, and she has become immune to handsome men. She knew that she was attractive and was very careful when interacting with boys. Avoid giving people the wrong signals. Su Qingreng also knew how difficult it was to approach Qin Jiao. It is natural that he was very excited to be able to invite such a beautiful woman. The two entered the store. Su Qing took her to a seat by the window with familiarity. Soon, the waiter came over with the menu. Su Qingreng asked her very gentlemanly what she wanted to eat. Qin Jiao felt a little confused and had no appetite at all. But since she was already here, it would be inappropriate for her to leave now. I planned to order some food, eat quickly, and then go back to school. Her plan was good, but during the meal, Su Qingreng discussed a few cases with her. Qin Jiao had no choice but to calm down and chat with him. The meal, it was already dark. After returning to school, I couldn't see the road clearly. Although the school has streetlights, they are not very bright. Qin Jiao didn't plan to let him take her back to the dormitory, so she said goodbye to him. Su Qingreng did not force her, but said to her apologetically, I'm sorry, classmate Qin, for disturbing you for so long. Qin Jiao shook her head. It's okay. Thank you for treating me today. I'll go back first. Good. Su Qingrang said this without moving and just stood there. Qin Jiao didn't care. She waved at him and turned to walk towards the dormitory. There are big trees on both sides of the campus road, making the already dim avenue appear even darker. Walk along the campus avenue and turn a corner. There is a small path leading to the dormitory. There are trees and flowers on both sides. Qin Jiao was used to taking this path because it was closer. But before she reached the dormitory, suddenly, a figure blocked her way. Under the dim light, the man's eyes looked dark and somewhat scary. Qin Jiao's heart skipped a beat. When Qin Jiao realized that she was actually afraid of him, her face turned a little unhappy. Pursing her lips, she said coldly, "Please move aside. You are blocking my way." However, the other party seemed not to hear her words and just stood there. Qin Jiao clenched her fists, the annoyance in her heart becoming more and more out of control. What does he mean?
You
Just came back now? A man's hoarse voice came from the darkness.
What's it to you?
Qin Jiao said in a bad tone. He was the one who ignored her, so what right did he have to question her now? As soon as these words fell, the tall figure in the darkness seemed to sway. After a long time, the unique low voice of a man was heard again on the path. Uncle Qin asked me to take care of you, so I naturally have the responsibility to ask about it. Hearing this, Qin Jiao sneered with disdain. I'm already 19 years old, not a child. Do I need you to take care of me? Just take care of yourself. After saying that, she turned around and left without planning to argue with him any further. But the next second, her arm tightened and she was grabbed by the hand. Qin Jiao was startled. If she hadn't had a trace of rationality left in her, she would have almost screamed out. What you do? Her hushed voice was filled with anger. Although she had become a stranger to him, Qin Jiao still remembered the kindness he had shown her and did not want to ruin his future. After all, if an instructor was caught pulling a female student like this, he would definitely be punished severely. Shen Xiai didn't know what he was doing. He had restrained himself for so many years and didn't want to get close to her, but when he saw her walking with other male classmates, he still couldn't bear it. He is a pervert. A pervert who has special feelings for the girl next door, who is so much younger than him. Junior high school that year, and when Shen Xiai discovered her feelings, she was shocked and embarrassed. She was still so young, but he couldn't help wanting to get closer to her. Unable to face his own feelings, Shen Xiai could only force himself to stay away from her. But it's of no use. The more you restrain yourself, the more intense the emotions become. Until he couldn't bear it anymore, he would take the opportunity to go home and secretly glance at her. But by then, she no longer paid attention to him. Every time they passed by each other, Shen Xiai felt happy and painful. He was happy that he could finally see her, but he was also sad that she had become completely estranged from him. He restrained himself from revealing any of his emotions. Later, his father left Yun province, and he never had the chance to meet her again. I could only get a few words from Shenyu. Shen Xiai felt that he was sick, and very sick. Every day I collect information about her like a pervert. He heard someone confess his love to her. He couldn't sleep all night, fearing that she would really agree to those young men. Hearing that she had inherited Aunt Lin's medical skills and published a paper, he couldn't help but feel happy and proud of her. But there was no place for him in her world anymore. His name would never come out of her mouth again. Finally, after learning from Shenyu that she had been admitted to Ning City Medical University, Shen Xiai could no longer bear it. For the first time in her life, she used her connections to get him to come to her side and become her instructor.
God knows how happy he was when he saw her.
Shen Xiai used up almost all of his strength to restrain himself from revealing the slightest sign of abnormality. But when he saw that she completely ignored him, Shen Xiai's heart sank to the bottom again. But this is what he deserves, and he has no right to complain. It was originally thought that after these 21 days of training, they would be able to get back on track. However, the appearance of Su Qingrang disrupted everything. The boy was not only outstanding but also cunning. He knew that she was difficult to approach, so he would look for her every day under the pretext of discussing academic matters. Whenever he saw the two of them sitting together and heard everyone say that they were a good match, Shinsi's heart felt like it was being tortured and bloody. But even so, he still endured it. Shinsi told himself again and again that she was his sister. Even if she was from the neighborhood, he had watched her grow up since she was a child. However, everything got completely out of control after seeing her accept Su Qingrong's invitation. He can't do it at all. Letting him watch her being with another boy was more painful than killing him. With his hands tightly grasping her arms, Shinsi's eyes were pleading. Zizi, don't go out with him anymore, okay? This was the nickname he gave her, and he would only call her that in private. When she first fell in love, Qin Xiao's heart couldn't help but flutter just by hearing this nickname. But now, she just found it ridiculous. Why should I listen to you? Who do you think you are? Also, don't call me Gigi. My name is Qin Xiao. After saying that, she shook off his hand forcefully and left quickly. Behind him, the man's eyes were bloodshot. Qin Xiao returned to the dormitory with her heart pounding wildly. One else in the dormitory. My roommates must have gone to the classroom, had free time tonight, and had no plans to go to the classroom. She was going to take a shower and go to bed. But after taking a shower and lying on the bed, she couldn't fall asleep. Shinsi's deep gaze and pleading words kept flashing through her mind, and she felt angry and depressed. Finally, she impatiently pulled the quilt over and suffocated herself in it. The next day was cross-country training. Qin Xiao came to the class assembly with dark circles under her eyes. As soon